Good evening and welcome to Indianapolis for the fifth round, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sixth round of the 2025 GPVWC Superleague Championship. My name is Edward Hunter. Joining me here in the US of A, alongside me is sadly not Caitlin Penny, who I believe is busy with work commitments. So instead, we've got somebody else who will do just as well in the co-commentator slot, and that is my old friend Owen Harmon, who also has the exact same initials as me. And of course, broadcast director Remco de Zeeuw joins us as ever, doing a beautiful job on cameras. So, Owen, welcome back to Super League. For the first commentary you've done since Spa last year, which had a very, very close finish, didn't it? If you remember that very, very well, of course. Now we're in a very, very interesting situation in terms of the championship. And the man, as we see qualifying beginning now here at Indianapolis, and you see cars just swarming through the banking at the back end of the circuit. Private qualifying, no need to worry about being held up by cars, as Grankvist takes a very, very tight line, and he is going to lay down the marker. Well, almost laid down the marker. It was immediately beaten by Yaltan and the THR, car number 34 there. But that's also beaten immediately by Maciej Milnek and then Loic Mounier, championship leader. So there we go. Fine margins. All of our top four in the first runs separated by less than a tenth of a second. And if that's any indication, this could be very, very interesting indeed, Aaron.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Ed. Team EH is back. So we're reunited after the FS1 campaign we did last season. Never tear us apart
again.
Yes, we couldn't stay apart forever, but yeah,
until Caitlin comes back anyway.
Yeah, Caitlin will get her dutiful turn back, hopefully after spring break. So yeah, you won't be having me around too much longer. Ideally, for the sake of Caitlin, she is here for the permanent role. So I hope she'll be back next time. But alas,
but if people like what they hear from you, and also tune into FS1.
Yeah, come back to FS1 in 3 weeks. Yes, please. That'd be ideal.
Okay. Well, I'd love to go back to FS1, but unfortunately, you've got a very, very capable. I say unfortunately, very fortunately, actually, you've got a very, very capable co-commentator in isn't it Alex? That's
it is Alex. Yes.
Yes, and doing a fine job as well. But speaking of which, then you may notice Loic Mounier. I did say championship leader. He set a pole by a very, very fine margin last time out at Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona, and he snatched second off of Geoffrey Fournier in the wet in the closing stages. So Mounier, after taking his first win at the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka earlier this season, is very much a man in form and looking to really take this championship by the horns, isn't he? It's very, very close in the top, only 5 points in it, I believe, between Mounier, Tom Stevens, who won his first race of the season last time out, and Jan Grankvist, who, as I was about to say earlier, he's actually retired in accidents from the last two events. Saudi Arabia, he was running just inside the points of a very worn engine when he lost it with 2 laps to go, crashed into the wall, lost his rear wing. And then in Spain, there was a very uncharacteristic mistake, it must be said, just going into turn 1, where he got a little bit on the curb. The car went completely sideways and he went straight into the wall while fighting for a top 4 position just behind Alex Laho as well. So Grankvist is very much under pressure, the reigning champion, in a way we didn't expect him to be after he quite convincingly won the opening 2 rounds of the season, was second in Japan as well. So the championship is very much turning on its head, and there's still a long way to go. And if you are Jan Grankvist, are you going to be feeling the pressure here, or will you be able to... What does Jan have to do to get back into that sort of mindset that won him the title last season? Remember, he went on that winning streak, didn't he? In the middle of where he took like 5 wins last season, I think, in total, where he just seemed unstoppable for quite a lot of that season. And it was really only the likes of Tom Stevens and, of course, Mark Schluter that could really hold a candle to him for most of the year. So Jan, with these new challenges stepping up to the plate, you do sense he's got a lot to respond to as he starts another flying lap.
Yeah, I mean, it's, the fact that he has the title in the pocket already, that should be one advantage compared to, let's say, Tom Stevens, who wants to become champion. He wants to take that title away. I suppose, yeah, that is a huge advantage to have. But on the other case, this is a track that the drivers across the board, perhaps 1 or 2 exceptions, will remember 2013 when we last appeared here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway which answered a question I had for FS1 last week. And yeah, it's been 12 years since we were last here in Indiana. So the fact that it is a new circuit for himself and just about everyone else, I think that does allow him the chance to get out of his usual routine for just a little bit and say, right, this is a new challenge. I'm not going to be expecting to be all conquering just yet. I need to prove myself as if I'm starting out all over again. So that is definitely what I'd be thinking if I were Jan, who wants to get the back-to-back championship wins. The fact that the Indianapolis track has not been picked very often for GPVWC, and it's a chance just to say, look, I'm going to try something a little bit different to get myself back to my best. And the rest of the drivers will be given a fair warning, as they perhaps have to feel the same way working around a circuit that is unfamiliar to them.
Indeed, as we see Mark Schluter only able to go 17th fastest, the man who, after a very, very tough start to the season, was able to get into the top 5 for a brilliant drive from 13th to 5th. And he really, really excelled with some brilliant moves on a track where it's very difficult to overtake. His time is immediately beaten by Stein Handgraf, so the Dutchman once more putting in a very, very impressive time. The young engineering student who's been such a bright star for the Green Stripes team in the last season and a half, of course. There's the Alpine, who is in this race with a pretty worn engine. One thing we haven't talked about while we just go into the final 7 minutes of qualifying is that we do have a notable substitute driver in the field today, and that is Xavi Ross, the Spaniard, is making his debut in GPV today for the Epic Racing team in place in that number 91 car that was previously driven by Dan Brewer and then David Feidock in the last couple of races as well. Unfortunately, David Feidock crashing out from the last round in Spain in the wet conditions near the end while challenging for the top 10. So David Feidock has sort of been the story of his year, really. Difficult to find a drive after thinking he couldn't do the season, then his personal circumstances changed and he could do the season, but all of a sudden all the drives were taken up. So, and then, not having much luck in the races that he has gotten to do as well. But Xavi Ross, of course, we are excited. It's good to have a third Spaniard on the grid, along with Carlos Martin and, of course, Sergio Fletcher. As we see Simon Frelick go 4th fastest, right behind Jan Grankvist there. But at the moment, the top 2 still just 0.02 of a second apart in Moynier and Milnek. Dylan Fisher goes 8th fastest. Xavi Ross begins another lap there. So let's see what the Spaniard can do on this particular run. But at the moment, you've got to say, Moynier looking good to take his 3rd pole of the season, isn't he?
Yeah, he's on course, but yeah, 0.02 of a second. It's so slight, but it can be picked up if you can just find 1 or 2 better corners in your lap. We're on board here with Xavi at the minute. I suppose, we saw 2 weeks ago the qualifying session around Catalonia was absolutely exceptional, with the drivers all within half a second each other for 1st through 24th. It was absolutely brilliant. So anything close to that here at Indy will be brilliant. And I suppose one driver did see jump up a little was Dylan Fisher. He's managed to split.
Alessandro Moynier's gone even faster, Aaron.
Yeah, he's gone
101.420, so he's stretched from being 2 thousandths ahead to 46 thousandths ahead, which may not sound like a lot, but believe me, when every thousandth is gold dust, that's 46 gold dusts to Loic Moynier's credit. I'm not sure what the conversion rate is. Maybe it's different in the States. To over here is Jarl's spun it completely, the infield section. That's turn 9. So so tricky because that's a sort of left-hander, but you do take it at quite high speed. It's, of course, a little bit of a mishmash of the old F1 layout and the current IndyCar layout, essentially. This one that we have here, it's a sort of a it's from another particular championship. It was the Lalu doing a bit of grass cutting as well. That's further earlier on in the infield section. No, it's coming out onto the banking, so he's got the last couple of corners wrong there. And that's not good for the Super Venturi man, who, with all the bad luck that his teammates been suffering, it's really been Lalu that's been there to pick up the pieces, just getting the last couple of points positions. But yeah, Super Venturi, who led the team's championship early on, now find themselves down in the standings. I believe they down to second on 88 points, only just ahead of Adonis Engineering, while THR, our double reigning champions, are looking to become triple champions this season, and they have built a pretty commanding lead over the past 2 rounds, which is quite the turnaround for their season, considering how badly the first 3 races went for them overall. As there's Pascal Polens, who goes into this race with a very, very worn engine. I believe he's only got 35 or 37% condition left on that, so Polens may well be nursing it rather than aiming to put the engine absolutely through its paces here, because that engine has got to do a full 90-minute distance here. It's Grankvist. Has he gone a little bit faster there? Yes, he has. 39 thousandths ahead of Frelich, but 21 thousandths behind Maciej Milnek in the HRT then. So tight still to get onto the front row, but Grankvist just missing out on that particular run, but it wouldn't take much to be right behind Loic Moynier at the start of this race, which would be exactly where he wants to be.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah, just to get that little bit extra out of the lap time there for the reigning champ. So close yet so far. Oh, spin for Fournier. And that has to be a quick rescue here. Get straight back to the pits and pick up the final out lap and hot lap you can. There were some small improvements there for Lehoux and Rualt. I noticed they've climbed a couple of positions each. So Lehoux is 10th, Rualt 13th. And let's see if Thomas Vach can get anywhere closer to that top 10. He's currently 14th for Road to Formula. Will he commit to lap? No, he actually will not. He decides to pull in and try again.
Yeah, you did see Vach was, massive. Love that change of direction into turn 9. That's the same corner we saw Tyne spinning, but right Kilk coming in at full tilt then, trying to get the Red Archer into the top 15, which would be the points paying positions. He is just a 10th of a second shy of Xavi Ross. At the moment, he was 2 tenths down on the overall fastest time of Moynier through the middle sector, but very, very close in the first. This should be a decent time, but it's not quite good enough to get into the top 15. He falls 53,000 shy of Xavi Ross's time there. So Xavi Ross has done a very, very respectable lap in that epic car there. But anyway, by the way, there was a message in chat asking what's happened to the second TOP. That's, of course, Carlos Martin. Now, Carlos Martin went into this round with the most worn engine of anybody. And somewhat unsurprisingly, Carlos, I think, has not done any laps at all in this session, or has done very, very few, just to sort of preserve the engine for the race, because that's how marginal it is for him. He's got 37%. Pascal Polens has only got 35% of his engine. So both of those they're sort of risking a blow up if they push it too hard come the race as well. So and your engine doesn't exactly gain back any of its condition during qualifying as well. So you kind of want to preserve it as much as humanly possible. As we see Sergio Fletcher now, the 2 valets who had a miserable race in Spain, which was, of course, Fletcher's home race, of course, doing a bit better in qualifying here. Both cars in the top 10, and they are in a very, very tight battle for 5th and 6th in the Teams Championship with the likes of Road to Formula and company. So, yeah, every place they can get here puts them in a good position. Moritz Krop, like we saw in Saudi Arabia, by the way, has had a great qualifying so far. Just a 10th shy of pole. That's got him into the top 5. As we see Sergio Fletcher, just 3,000 shy of Krop's time that I was just talking about. But nonetheless, that leapfrogs him ahead of Yaltine. Crucial lap for Sergio Fletcher, but makes him the lead valet as well.
Yeah, it's so good there for Valet Esports. Just chucking away there to get the double top 10 as things stand. We're now watching Maciej Milnek for Holland Racing Team, just needing 0.04 of a second to get pole position. He's gone purple here, sector 1. The windy first 6 corners all complete now for the pole, and let's see how he can journey through this more technical section, hard braking into the tight left-hander, and then it'll be a bit more of a wavy chicane here, so he's got to make sure the rear end traction is cooperating with him. Checkered flag is now waving. He's down in sector 2 a little bit. It can be retrieved here, Ed, so let's see if he can push on with maximum power, getting DRS probably a little bit tonight. No, he does actually back out. He will not be our pole sitter today.
Yeah, and I think he knows that, but Simon Frelich is still absolutely flying out there pretty good. A personal best middle sector as well, so it's all down to this run to the line, onto the banking now, that decides the fate of so many laps here. Alex Lehoux goes up to 8th position. Great lap by the Frenchman, but can Simon Frelich get himself onto the front row? Yes, he can. Second position. He leapfrogs Maciej Milnek and Jan Grankvist there. Grankvist has to settle it, but Moritz Krupp has gone fastest.
Oh.
What a fantastic lap from Krupp. And that came out of nowhere there for the Fraser Tartan. And could that be the Scottish team's first pole position in Super League? We were not expecting that. He had a brilliant first sector there that was only less than a tenth shy of Frelick's. Amazing middle sector, and then he brought it all together in the final sector. Yeah, the middle sector really made that lap for Moritz Krupp there. And the German, that's his first pole position in Super League as a driver, not just for the team as well. Of course, being a new team for this season, Fraser Tartan. But wow, I'm kind of speechless there, Aaron.
Yeah, we're all caught completely by surprise there. But yeah, huge congratulations to Moritz and indeed Fraser Tartan. They've given us a big shock here as our 12-year wait to return to Indianapolis has really pulled out all sorts of big surprises for us.
Indeed it has. So, chief of those surprises, as you can see, is that 101.405 pole position time for Moritz Krupp, which has certainly made this race, at the start of this race at the very least, incredibly interesting. Loic Moynier, our championship leader, just 16 thousandths of a second shy on the front row. Then it is Simon Frelick with that late effort. We thought it was good enough for second. He ultimately will start third ahead of Maciej Milnek. Jan Grankvist third in the championship, fifth on the grid, looking to come back from a tough pair of races. Sergio Fletcher gets it onto sixth on the grid with Yoltine in seventh. Alex Laho, he will start highest of the road to formulas in eighth. Alessandro Maggio backing up his teammate in ninth. And Dylan Fisher, we didn't talk too much about Fisher, but a very solid effort, 2/10 off the pace to get into the top 10 for, I believe, the first time this season. So yes, Dylan Fisher, we know, a quality driver looking to break into the top 10 after a tough start for AKA Hero. But behind him is the man second in the championship, Tom Stevens. So Tom Stevens, as expected, given he's still going to be a threat in this race because he does make a habit of gaining positions come the race, even if he doesn't qualify high up the grid. Sven Schubert will start in 12th with Thomas Vack 13th. Then it's Stefan Ruhl 14th with Xavi Ross rounding out what would be the point scorers. And Xavi Ross, of course, in a substitute drive, only 3.5 tenths off the pace. That's very impressive for a first ever GPV run out. Wright Kilk will start 16th ahead of Stein Handgraf. Mark Schluter will be 18th on the grid. Then it's Jukka Lali 19th with Robin Panzar rounding out the top 20. And 20th on the grid, but only 6/10 off the pace. That shows you how congested it is. Jeffrey Fournier, third last time out. He will start in 21st here with Heiko Poom 22nd. Then it is Matthew Williams, the man fourth in the championship, down in 23rd. Lots of work for Matthew Williams to do with Pascal Polenz, a detuned engine that's been through quite a lot this season. He will start 24th ahead of Chris Shepard. Vincent Gutt will be 26th on the grid with Istvan Single at 27th in the stacks. Wopke Hoekstra will be 28th, and last of those to set a time with Zolt Zux and Carlos Martin, unfortunately not quite getting the chance to leave the garage then. So, before the race starts now, there is a highlights video from Spain that we would like you to watch, made by yours truly, actually, that should let you know what happened last time out in that exciting dry, wet encounter at Barcelona. We'll be back on the other side for the race. Don't go anywhere. Please come back in at least 10 minutes' time.
When those lights extinguish, we will be underway for 66 laps of racing here at the Circuit de Catalunya, Barcelona, for 5 and... it's go! Look at Mounier on the left and Stevens on the right, and see if anyone else can come through. There's a move from Grankvist as he pokes out from behind Jeffrey Fournier a little bit further back. Mounier seems to have covered off the lead into turn 1, and Mounier does lead from Stevens. Now look at Lahou, he's got a really good run, and not a good run for Maciej Milnek. Jeffrey Fournier is going to go past him around the outside and into 4th position. There is a yellow flag. I think someone may have spun. Sergio Fletcher is in the mid-pack, and he's going to get hung out to dry on the outside. Now squeeze to the inside. A little bit of contact with one of the TOP esports cars. And we'll leave it up to you to decide if anyone was at fault for that. But to be honest, this is the kind of thing that happens on the first lap. And then here is Robin Panzer, who goes into the left-hander, gets squeezed. And that is his spin, and that's also... that Dylan Fisher, who goes off with him. Here is Shepherd, who is the first retirement from the race. Goes around the right-hander. Does the car just swap ends?
Oh, he hits
there's
Lalu.
definitely contact. Whoa, and there's a big hit into the wall, and it was Jukka-Pekka Lalu who he touched, which resulted in that spin.
Yeah, so one of the TOPs cuts the corner, and then Shepherd thought he got the move done on the inside, and I think there was a miscommunication between the two of them. Lalu was still there on the outside over the curb, and Shepherd got the rear left caught on the Super Venturi, and from then on he was a high-speed passenger into a high-speed accident, I'm afraid. So here we go through Verf chicane, uphill towards Campsa, and the rear disc lights go very, very early, and yeah, there was, from that point on, he was going straight into the wall there. Single is out. Oh, and it's a very early spin out of turn 3, and a heavy impact with the wall too. Not much left of that, Stacks.
Well, we're going to see a replay, so here is the move that Steve, our first lead change of the day. And if today is going to be anything like the previous races, we're going to see a few, either through strategy or on the road. But Stevens did indeed get past Loic Mounier up the inside. He will lead them towards that first pit window.
We see Tom Stevens does go into the pits. Along with
Stevens,
Neil
Dan
and
Winnick,
Grankvist.
Grankvist, David Fidok, they're all in. And into the pits comes the leader, Loic Mounier, and Alex Laho and Riot Kilk as well. So Jeffrey Fournier now leads this race. There they are in the... That was very close, but luckily they seem to have got away with it. Out of the pits they come. Where is... Well, Stevens has gone through. So Stevens goes through. Fournier pits from the lead. So Mark Schluter leads the race now. The driver who has finished second here the last 2 times of asking. Out of the pits comes Fournier. It's going to be close with Mounier. Mounier does get ahead. Stays ahead in the effective order. But Fournier... He wasn't ahead of Lahou before all of this, was he?
So he's jumped him.
He's jumped Alex Lahou. Great job from Jeffrey Fournier there. Oh, and very close in the background is the battle between Mathieu Winnick and Jan Grankvist. Round the outside goes the championship leader. And Jan Grankvist will get the move done because that will turn into the inside at turn 5. And I think that's Grankvist. And Grankvist on the outside. Oh, he loses it! Grankvist spins! Grankvist spins, and does he keep it out of the wall? Grankvist continues to drop down the order. That's a huge crash! For the second race in a row, Jan Grankvist will not be scoring any points through his own fault. He was making that move. It was a 3-wide moment nearly as they got past Vincent Gutt. He goes to the outside of Alex Lowe, and it's as he brakes on the curb, the car swaps ends on him and he smashes into the barriers, loses his entire left-hand side of the car. We see it from on board Jan Grankvist. Now it's interesting, he braked on the curb, but we've seen people doing that all day long and getting away with it. So why did Jan Grankvist's car swap ends on him there?
As in comes Matthew Williams and Simon Frelick and the first of our green stripes. I think that was not Handgraf, it was his teammate coming in, Russo. No, it was Handgraf. As here comes Fournier with the DRS side by side, and nothing Fournier can do. Whoa, as Fournier nearly loses it as well.
We're going to see a replay now from on board with Jeffrey Fournier as he makes that move, that crucial move on Loic Mounier, goes through. Remember, he is on a softer and therefore faster compound of tyre, and it's as he brakes. I really don't think there was contact. I think there was just a big twitch. Jarl Tyen has just passed. Whoa, and a massive twitch from Jarl Tyen as he passes Pollentz and then loses out on the exit of turn 2. Tomasz Vok down the straight. And this is in 6th position. Well, he's 7th now. He's about to get up into 6th position, passing Stefan Rohr up the inside. A pretty straightforward move in one of the only overtaking opportunities of the lap. And he will open the DRS when he crosses that white line that you've just seen. And surely he will get close enough, even though the Fraser Tartan car also has its DRS open. Goes to the inside. Whoa, look at that. And a good defensive maneuver there, a defensive chop from Sven Schubert into turn 3. Is it going to be similar to Zolt Schuk's incident? It is indeed. And bump into the wall and loses front and rear wing. We don't normally see yellow flags just because of someone coming into the pits. It may have been something to do with Shimon Frelick, and it is. It's a spin. And he gathers it up and gets going again.
And that dropped him out of the points, that spin, because Hygo Poom went through there.
So Stevens into the pits along with Mathieu Winnick and David Fidok. Jeffrey Fournier pits. He has to respond now, as does Loic Mounier and Alex Laho. The top 3 all coming in together. Whoa, that was nearly contact. Fournier comes out. Now, where will they come out in relation to Stevens? Stevens goes through, but he'll be on the outside line. Fournier might take the lead, and he does. Fournier has jumped Tom Stevens in the fight for what should be the net lead in the race. And if he can break the DRS range, that would put him in an even better situation than he's already in. Who's that coming out of the pits? That's one of the QP Esports cars. They're nearly 3 wide there.
Oh, Tyne in a battle, and that's Martin that's been, has Tyne going around the outside of him, and that should be Maggio making the move through turn 3 as well. Carlos Martin got absolutely mugged there.
Munier is much further up the road, and we're seeing it now, and they're going nearly 3 wide as Munier goes through, and Alex Lahoe follows him through, and nearly has a chance to pass Munier in the process.
As we see, Milnek is going to easily clear Hygo Poon with DRS here. As you can see, is that Martin still fighting in the background. No, it is Martin, sorry. Just clearing Maggio as he forces him wide, and I think Right Kilk is going to get involved along with Pascal Pollens too, if he's not careful here. So Maggio's starting to go backwards.
As Fidok repasses Sven Schubert, gets back into the top 10.
He can clear Hygo quickly, might be able to catch Moritz Krop, but here we go then with the DRS open on those mediums. This should be a straightforward move.
Thomas Vock now passing Hygo Poom for 8th position. So 23 cars remain.
Schluter round the outside, of Moritz Krop, and just enough space left. That was an amazing move, incredibly well judged from Mark Schluter, and he's in to the top 6. Look, it started to rain. The weather has changed. Yeah, so it's officially showing rain.
16th, 17th position, maybe even higher than that. Bring him in. You've got to do this.
Fidok in trouble because he's losing positions, hand over fist, and it's Rult that is having a go at him now.
But Stefan Rult comes in. Now this is crucial. Does he go? Surely he's got to go into Inters. Jeffrey Fournier can potentially, and they're side by side, and Stevens takes the lead. Never mind, Tom Stevens has taken the lead of the race.
And they have to come in. The rain is too much, so it's going to be a race in the pit lane.
Jeffrey Fournier escapes the pits now. Will he get out ahead of Tom Stevens? Stevens is moving. They're going to be side by side on the exit. Stevens does just about lead the race.
And look at Moynier. He's absolutely charging towards the back of Fournier into turn 1.
My goodness, so I was just saying the rain would be good for 48. I don't think it is. Munier goes through on the inside and gets up into 2nd position. Fidok's out of the race. Oh, what a shame. Vincent Gutt has damage. He's missing his rear wing. You rather have to fill in the blanks with one car missing a rear wing and the other missing a front wing. Then again, they were separate. Vincent Gutt spins off and he hits the wall. Here's David Fidok. Did he crash out by himself? He was streaming his own point of view. So, some of you would have seen this firsthand.
Over the curb.
And into the wall, and a hit. Okay, well that's the end of the day for David Fidok.
Russo crashed at the same time. Almost the same thing happened through that Verve chicane, and he just hit the barrier. Even in the wet, Schluter looks still pretty strong here, and Milnek is just struggling to keep in a straight line.
And there's a spin, and on the inside of the corner, it's Lahoe! Alex Lahoe spins. He was in with a great chance of a podium, but he has spun the car around. Now there's Jarl Tyen fighting with Carlos Martin, goes to the inside. Martin gained by making one fewer pit stop, one less pit stop than the others. Ended up staying out long enough to benefit from the rain, but Jarl Tyen has now gone through and rolls out as he comes through the final couple of corners. He should have more grip than the other cars, but that might also have given him false confidence. He got, and he got on the curb, the AstroTurf, and it spun him around and into the wall hard on the inside. Mark Schluter is right on the back now of Maciej Winnick. He's lining him up. He goes to the inside of turn 1. This is a definite opportunity. And Winnick holds him off, and there's a little tap, but he just about stays ahead, does Maciej Winnick. Here's Jarl Tyen now. And he's split the FTRs. He is between Schubert and Krop. But here comes Tom Stevens out of the final corner. Ever since the rain came down, he has been imperious. And Tom Stevens wins the Spanish Grand Prix for the 3rd year in a row. Fantastic stuff. His first victory of the 2025 season. Stevens wins. Munier is 2nd. Jeffrey Fournier is 3rd. Then it's Maciej Winnick. Mark Schluter from 13th on the grid. Then the 2 road formulas of Alex Lahoe and Tomasz Vock. Sven Schubert P8. Jarl Tyen P9, and then Moritz P10. Both of the Fraser Tartans in the top 10, which is a position that neither of them have found themselves in at any point of this season so far. Moritz Krop nearly finished in the top 10 in Saudi, but dropped back later on in the race. Then it's Carlos Martin, Matthew Williams, Hygo Poom, Pascal Pollens, and Jakub Lalu scoring the only point for Super Venturi today.
Well, there we go then. Enthralling highlights as the rain caused chaos at the end there in Barcelona. But of course, it was Tom Stevens that was victorious last time out. Stevens, though, only 11th on the grid. Pole position was taken for the first time by Fraser Tartan and Moritz Kropp, of course. Moritz Kropp, who originally wasn't supposed to be in that seat. It was originally Welshman Matt Richards that occupied that seat at the start of the season. And certainly Moritz Kropp excelling exactly the right time then. And it's going to be fascinating to see how him and Loic Moynier, who gets into the first corner first, and what happens in terms of the strategy zone, Harmon, isn't it? So we have got 60 laps of action should be ahead of us at a very, very fast track, of course. And, you know, Mark Knopfler, lead singer Dire Straits, once said in a song that the Brickyard is here to crucify anybody who will not learn. But yeah, Moritz Kropp has certainly learned from a tough kind of opening couple of seasons he had in Super League to take that first pole position. And now he's got a great opportunity to get a fantastic result under his belt as long as he can keep Moynier, Frelick, Milnek and Grankvist at bay behind him.
That's exactly right, Ed. Definitely the joy of getting pole position. It soon becomes a bit of a daunting situation if your mindset is, I just need to get some points. Like, I don't care how I finish, I just want to get some points. So to be on the pole in your third race of the campaign, round 6, of course, it's going to be a huge ask. But yeah, definitely the confidence will still be very high after setting an unbelievable lap, a PB by a mile, as you said just a moment ago.
So anyway, he also, of course, given that he starts on pole position, gets to lead the formation lap. So now might be a fantastic time to go through the grid in order then. Moritz Kropp and Loic Moynier make up the front row, with Kropp taking his first ever pole position in Super League. Simon Frelick and Maciej Milnek are third and fourth, making up the second row. Row 3, it's reigning champion Jan Grankvist and Spain's Sergio Fletcher in sixth, right behind him. Then on row 4, it's Jart Tyen and Alex Laho. Row 5 is Alessandro Maggio with Dylan Fisher rounding out the top 10. Then it's our winner last time out, Tom Stevens, starting in 11th, with Sven Schubert joining him on the 6th row. Row 7 is Thomas Vack, joined by former champion Stefan Ruhl. Xavi Ross making his debut will start 15th, with Wright Kilk alongside him on row 8. Row 9, Stein Handgraf is joined by Germany's Mark Schluter. Then on row 10, it's Jukka-Pekka Laulu with Robin Panzar for close company. Jeffrey Fournier, third last time out. He starts a lowly 21st. What can he do with Heiko Puma alongside him on row 11? On row 12, it's Matthew Williams ahead of Pascal Polenz. Row 13 is Chris Shepherd and Vincent Gatt. Can Chris Shepherd get longer into the race than he did in Barcelona? Istvan Singal and Wopke Hoekstra make up 27th and 28th on the grid, with the final row made up of Zolt Zux and Spain's Carlos Martin. Carlos, with a very, very worn engine, he will be doing very, very well. Maybe there's a clever strategy that Carlos can do to get up the field and into the points. Remember, the top 15 will all have to start on the soft tyre. Everybody else will have free choice of tyres then at the start here. But Moritz Kropp getting into position, and we'll wait now for Carlos Martin to complete the grid. Once he does, this is going to be a very, very exciting run into turn 1. Quite a long one as well,
Without a doubt, yeah. The famous oval here will present a huge chance to get these cars running at high speed. But yeah, it's all about the getaway.
Round 6 then, about to begin in any moment now when the 5 lights go on. Here they come. 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. And we are underway here in Indianapolis. And it's a brilliant start for Moynier from second on the grid. Moritz Kropp hold on to pole position. Look out for Simon Frelick trying to go through the middle, deciding to stick back to the racing line. Oh, huge move for Moynier. And he clatters into Moritz Kropp. They both take to the grass, and Frelick will take the lead. That's exactly what the championship leader did not need to do there. Moritz Kropp is now side by side with Jan Grankvist, and it's the Fraser Tartan that... Oh no! He's lost the 3 and 4. And Kropp's on the grass again. He needs to make sure he doesn't collect anyone. Oh, he takes out the THR. Oh dear, I think that was Tom Stevens that's been bulldozed there. Oh, Stevens is on fire. Oh, what an absolute disaster there. Polenz is also out. He seemed to be taken out there along with Moritz Kropp, and oh my goodness, your heart's got to go out. That was joy to disastrous despair for Moritz Krop in a matter of seconds there. This Van Sinkel has also lost his front wing in the melee of the first lap. But for Simon Frelick, he has been given an absolute gift here. Open road ahead of him, and he's already starting to pull a gap to Milnek behind.
Heart-wrenching stuff, Ed. That is so unlucky. But yeah, definitely the trick was to get the car slowed down. But on the grass, it was almost impossible. And that's when the high-speed traffic was oncoming. And yeah, it was just an accident waiting to happen. But for Frelick, he's up 2 places, as is Malinek and Jan Vrankvist, of course. So big gains for them. And Loic down 4 positions. So yeah, big contrast. But a huge gain for Vincent Gutt there. 14 in advantage since his grid slot.
Oh, you can still see the tyre lying on the exit of 5 there. And you got to feel as well for Tom Stevens, because he was an innocent victim in all of that. Yeah. Martin and Polenz as well. I think they both just got involved in the incident there as the FTR was just sliding across the grass and back onto track. There was nothing they could really have done to avoid it in time. But anyway, we now see Xavi Ross has had to make an early stop, as has Istvan Singal for that new front wing. So yeah, Xavi Ross, welcome to Super League in GPVWC, I'm afraid. But yeah, one of the more chaotic first laps. Of course, it's a circuit that the field is not entirely used to as we go into lap 3. Frelick 6/10 ahead of Matej Milnet, but it's Grankvist that sets the fastest lap of the race. With Stevens out of the way, there's a golden opportunity here for Grankvist, with Moynier also behind him. Moynier still in 6th position, so not completely out of the running just yet, but he would have taken quite a bit of damage from the contact there, as there's the sole remaining FTR of Sven Schubert now. All of Toby Davis's hopes rest on his German Charger here. As that wheel is still going to be on the exit. A grim reminder of Moritz Krop's fate, I'm afraid, in this race, sadly, as we are, I think, now going to see a replay, Owen, of the absolute chaos into turn 1.
Yeah, so Munier has the inside line. He's going to try and brake as late as possible, but that by himself, he loses rear end traction completely. Moritz Krop would have had little to no knowledge of that. And then the contact took place, wheel to wheel. They're given a second bite of the cherry here, so Loic carries on, but it gets from bad to absolutely dreadful. There's the moment there for Moritz. He's off track and he has to try and slow down while not necessarily hitting full brakes to actually hit 0 miles an hour. So here's a look at Moritz is on board, and all of a sudden he's just taking his normal apex, he's leaving the racing room, and then all of a sudden there's a Spark Racing Team car just sliding into him. So racing incident, no doubt in my mind, but Moritz couldn't have done anything about that no matter what. It's just this moment here, he's watching out for Grankvist, and then he loses rear end traction. He has to try and balance spinning the car around, but if he came to a complete stop, he would have just been last anyway. So I really don't know what else Moritz could have done. Yeah,
Sergio Fletcher, you can see just in front of the field here. Was it Fletcher or is it Maggio that was just ahead? I think it was so lucky not to be taken out. You can see there, Stevens was just so unlucky, had nowhere to go, and I think he even gets collected by somebody else, which is what causes the engine to absolutely expire in dramatic fashion. There seemed to be an earlier incident, actually, after turn 1, and I think that was what took out Martin and Polenz effectively. And so here we go, we run on board with Right Kilt. Yeah, won the road to Formula. I believe that's Vac going very wide through turn 2, and then this is where they start to go 3 wide. And then Right Kilt just dropped it on his own. Panzar goes into the back of him. The other, both Adonis is in the gravel. What a horrible start for both Panzar and Williams, still down in 21st and 23rd respectively.
Gosh, yeah, so all manner of chaos in Sector 1 here at Indy's grand return to Super League action. And Frelick's lead has come down a bit here. Linek got a slightly better time the last lap, just a matter of hundredths really, but that still matters with DRS in play. Grankvist, he settled there on his own there. Fletcher has to do something about that. Jarl Tyen can of course catch him soon enough. So yeah, we're looking at the THR right now. He's pulled well clear of Munier, still worried about those tyres, I'm sure, with the lockup with the rear end. So yeah, definitely a stable top 5 now after the carnage. But let's see what Maggio can do on the oval.
Oh, here we go then. Moynier still with a very damaged car. Look at the steering. It's crabbing in a straight line on that Spark Racing car, and it's going to be easy pickings for Maggio. He gets into the top 6, goes a little bit deep into turn 1, but just about collects it up there. So now that's 2 valets in the top 6 there. That's crucial points for their team's championship challenge there. And Moynier knows this is a race of attrition. He's just got to survive in this first stint there and avoid that ever-present wheel on the outside there for what's effectively a permanent yellow flag corner there, because you're not going to be able to overtake around the outside without hitting the stray wheel. Meanwhile, our top 3 still within just over 1 second. Frelick, Milnek, and Grankvist, of course, with Jan Grankvist his pace was quicker than the 2 leaders, but now it's started to stabilize for the reigning champion, hasn't it? So Grankvist very much playing a long game. The highest of those not on the soft tire, by the way, is Heiko Poom in 11th position. So unfortunately, Dylan Fisher, we saw, did get caught up in the Crop Stevens incident and had to take to the gravels. Now we see Sven Schubert. It's his turn with the DRS to pick off Moynier, and you can really feel the pain for Moynier all the way down the straight because it's compromising his run through the banking and his straight line speed as a result, effectively. So everybody with their DRS is just going to have a very, very easy time getting past him, unfortunately.
Yes, so the dramatic turnaround in the championship. I was on holidays probably when Super League was on at Saudi when Jan had his first DNF. So when I had a look at the championship today, I was like, what on earth happened to Grankvist? He was doing so well, and now things are going slightly in his favour with a P3, with his main rival Tom out of the race. And then we do have Loic there suffering from that damage, likely to the steering arm and the suspension. He's losing positions, so he needs to just stabilise as best he can. It's only going to get worse with the former Super League champion right on his case.
And let's not forget Simon Frelick, who is leading this race. Yes, he had to retire last time out in Spain, but he is on 49 points. He's not too far behind. He could still be a factor in this championship as, double moves going on. Schubert is passing Maggio for 6th, but also Ruhl picks off Moynier for 8th at the same time there. So nobody wasting any time here. Moynier, you can tell, trying to force them to break really, really deep into the first corner, but also just struggling with the, not just the back end, but the front end. And really the start of Loic's problems. We saw it earlier in the season at Istanbul. Loic was having issues with the rear brakes where it would just slide at the rear every time he hit the brakes going into turn 12, which was the sort of effectively left-hand hairpin at Istanbul Park. And we're seeing that niggling issue troubling him again. We also did see Yasse Latinum typing in the chat saying the brakes were glazed in all caps. There's a bit of a lockup going on in the background there. Didn't seem to be anything too serious though, as we see Moynier just struggling to stay in the top 10. Next up to challenge him will be Thomas Vack. Luckily, there is a nearly 3-second gap behind Vack to Heiko Poom. So Moynier, this is all just a matter of making it to the first pit stop here. But yeah, for Sergio Fletcher, he is now starting to lead a train of tying. Schubert is about 2.5 seconds in arrears, but he is setting personal best first sectors as well as he tries to break away from Maggio then. So the valets are sort of, we've got one valet leading the Alpine, who is also in the championship hunt, it must be said, in the top 6 in the standings. And then we've got Maggio trying to keep up with Schubert, who's just got past him. So yeah, the valets could start working together. They can afford to sort of split the strategies with the pair of them, whereas everybody else has really only got one car up front and not the luxury of splitting the strategies with both cars being able to take advantage of them necessarily, as we're about to go into the lap 10 then of 75, not 60 as I mistakenly said earlier. I distinctly remember Remco saying 60 to me, so I must have either I misheard or he misspoke. But either way, so we have another 15 laps to do then. There's now Sergio Fletcher under real pressure from Jarl Tyne. The winner in Saudi Arabia uses DRS to get alongside, and that's a crucial move for Jarl Tyne because that puts him in touching distance of our lead trio.
Absolutely, yeah. Norwegian pride here. Oh, and there's Maggio wide. He has to take to the runoff, yeah. So Valet, advantage they had, it's a little bit weakened now. Just one position lost there for Alessandro Ruald, picking that one up with glee. So let's see what happened here on the replay. He's in the wake there of the Fraser Tartan. Oh, he had to take a evading action. Oof.
Yeah, so close to hitting the back and taking both Fraser Tartans out of the run. Well, at least one of them. The other one was already out through no fault of Maggio's. But look at this. He closes so much on the brace with the DRS. And it was almost pure luck. I had a little bit of skill and good instincts from Maggio to avoid a more serious collision. So Rill goes through, but that so easily could have been both cars out of the race on the spot. And with 4 cars out at the end of the first lap, that was very, very fortunate. Now Milnek is going for the lead with the DRS, and Simon Frelick decides to tuck in behind then. So it didn't look like he defended that one too hard because he didn't have DRS, of course. But now Simon Frelick has got to make sure he doesn't see Grankvist breeze past him as well. He needs to stay in DRS of Milnek by the end of this lap.
Exactly, yeah. Do not lose that DRS, whatever you do. I'm sure it absolutely stings to lose the race lead for any reason. And if it was a case of just a routine overtake, but if you fall off the DRS, then that is much, much worse, especially with the reigning champion right on the periphery here. He does have that buffer, of course, to tie in. He's just waiting for his opportunity to get back onto the high-speed oval section. The big banking coming up in just a moment now. So Jan will be on the case, and yet that Frelick is just outside the 1 second mark. So this is big trouble for your TOP.
Yeah, and brilliant driving from Maciej Milnek, the Pole, who it's been so long since his last podium. Remember, he had that brilliant run in the middle of, I think it was 2022, where he won 3 races in a row. And now he's had this golden opportunity with the top 2 effectively crashing into each other's. And now we see, was that Sergio Fletcher taking to the runoff there? And he briefly got actually back ahead of Jarl time because of that. But of course, overall, he has lost time, somehow still within about 7/10 of the THR ahead of him. But yeah, both Valets really struggling to get it slowed down for turn 1 at high speed here.
My goodness, yeah, what is the explanation for this? Oh, it's rear end. Just a loss of traction at the back. Oh, he's really aggressive. So I hope that underfloor is not too badly damaged there.
Well, the other thing about that is you can get penalties for leaving the track and gaining an advantage as well. So Fletcher can't afford to do that too many times. Yeah, that certainly takes a bit of the pressure off of Jarl time, but Grankvist is very much mounting the pressure on the back of Simon Frelick. The pole is really under pressure here as the reigning champion. Up the inside goes the Finn in the Super Venturi to go through into 2nd position with the DRS before they even reach the first corner. Had a little bit of a few goes turning it in, but Jan has learnt from all the pain he went through last time. It's Moynier, by the way, who's the first of the top 10 to blink as he pits for fresh tyres. Lalu, meanwhile, is in a battle with Mark Schluter for 13th position, and he clears the Edge Esports car driver for that top 13 position there into turn 1. So both Super Venturis on the move. Jan Grankvist up to 2nd and Lalu up to 13th.
Yeah, very exciting times here for Super Venturi with their chance to get back into winning ways. They know the team's championship. They've got to fight their way back into contention against THR. And yeah, definitely their battle here with Milnek. It's going to be so close, perhaps into a DRS range. Here's Rualt, of course, for Holland Racing Team, one of our great established teams throughout the years. And at the moment, yeah, he's got himself a lonely gap at the time being. He may just get the DRS against Schubert. Is he? Yeah, he is just about in range, but he's not going to be able to overtake from there unless we have another break or traction sort of vanishing moment, I suppose you could call it.
Yeah, the last win for Holland Racing Team, by the way, was Pascal Polenz in Mexico 2020. Jarl Tyne has just picked off Simon Frelick as well. So Simon, who had that early lead after the collision in the first corner, is really either trying to save tyres and go longer into the race, or he is genuinely struggling for top speed here.
Let's consult the replays here. It's Frelick by himself into turn 1. And, it's a slide, yeah. So he realizes halfway through there was no rescuing that situation.
He did try to save that for a long time, though, didn't he, Owen? He banked out very, very late. Whereas he might have not lost that position to Jarl Tyne if he had decided to sort of back off earlier. He would have had a very slow first couple of corners, but he would have stayed on track crucially nevertheless. Jarl Time will gratefully take that third position. Ruelt now pits. It'll be interested to see where the second of our HRTs comes out. Where is Loic Moynier? Moynier's 24th then, so definitely try to repair that steering damage. He's got 20 seconds to Vopke Hoekstra in front of him. So Moynier is only really ahead of the people who had to pit at the end of the first lap then. So it's going to be very, very difficult for him to get another podium in a row here. I think it could be Loic Moynier struggling to finish even in the points given the gap that he's got to the car's head. But certainly the good news is he has got the pace to do so if those repairs have been fully optimized then. Oh, as Stefan Ruelt comes out just behind then Vopke Hoekstra, goes around the outside of Hoekstra, who seems to be really struggling on the harder tyre there.
Absolutely, yeah. Hoekstra just seemingly trundling around a bit. But of course, the decision to pit early has instigated the champion here. He wants to respond to what Ruelt has done, get himself into the pits for a new set of rubber, and that means, yeah, likely a 3-stopper on the way for a lot of these front runners.
Yeah, quite possibly. Depends how long they can stretch the hard tyres, of course. But yeah, Frelick must have been struggling because he's come in as well, along with Schubert, Maggio, Chris Shepard, Dylan Fisher, and Wright Kilk as well. So it'll be interesting to see the progress of Fisher because, of course, he qualified in the top 10, is now trying to fight his way back through the field. Grankvist is going to come out right behind. Is that the first of the Epic Racing cars? The Adonis goes out of the way. That is Matthew Williams, who knows there's no point fighting Grankvist on the fresh hard tyres there. And there you can see, actually, Williams is one of the few other hard tyre runners, along with Maggio, who of course was one of the early stoppers too, if I'm not mistaken. Then everybody else on the mediums or the soft. So it should be Hygo Poom, leader of those on the mediums, but it's Grankvist, first of those to really take advantage of the switch to the hards, and that's surely what Milnek is now about to do as he comes in, followed by Jarl Tyne, crucially, and Sergio Fletcher.
Yeah, so the top 3 as of right now on this lap have all pitted, so Fletcher should be able to watch and wait to see what happens, but Tyne just in the middle of this pack. You've got to make sure he doesn't jump out in front of any competitors. And now, new leader for the time being, it's Hygo Poom, going a bit longer on the set of hard tyres. I believe he was one of the drivers not on the softs.
Yeah, another driver, by the way, we haven't talked too much about him, but he is quietly got on his medium tyres, having started on them, up to 4th position. That is Zolt Zux in the stacks, and Christian Zerner has had so little to really chat about for last season, apart from Zux's couple of points that he scored in Monza, of course. That might have just been the one solitary point, actually, in Monza last season at the Italian Grand Prix. But nonetheless, Zux has really kept his nose clean, and after a bruising year that Stags have had, they would be so desperate to get a couple of points out of this. And don't forget, where was Zux on the grid? I don't think he actually even qualified in set time.
Yeah,
he started right at the back of the field, and he's effectively, as I say, 4th of those on the mediums, but he was like 9th or 10th in the sort of overall order as well, which is still nonetheless very, very impressive given the amount of horrendous misfortune he's had. As now we see Simon Frelick, who of course pit at the same time as Grankvist, now trying to clear Matthew Williams, but he's got Jarl Tyne catching up to the back of him on his fresh tyres as well. So you see Frelick is on the mediums, and Tyne, I believe, has also gone on the hards. He's shadowing Grankvist, but Tyne is going to try and make a double move here. It's going to be 4 cars into turn 1. Somehow they all get through without crashing into each other, as my stream is really starting to struggle. Did Simon Frelick make it through? Yes, he did.
Yes.
But Jarl Tyne was still stuck behind Jeffrey Fournier.
I think we're back to stable pictures here. Or now a little bit of jumpiness again. Yeah, that was exceptional there. Frelick got a purple sector 1 that last lap. He was absolutely committed to whatever he was going to do there. He was ready to go. Here's Tyne now. He's got to make the same move. And let's see if he can do it here against Jeffrey on the high side. Ooh, almost cut him straight off there. But that was performed admirably there by Tyne. And yeah, we've more battles with the likes of Milnek now. He wants to regain that race lead, and he currently occupies the provisional P1. Zux lets him through, and he'll certainly be pleased to get a bit of slipstream on return there, and some DRS. With that'll be Lalu there. He's got to help his teammate as best he can, but nothing he could do there. Those two are far too quick at the moment. So Sooks, I think that would be a genuine pass for position against
That was
Lalu.
Mark Schluter. That was Mark Schluter that went wide there. Lalu still up in P2. We also saw in the background, Grankvist picked off Alex Laho, who is the only two drivers yet to pit off of... no, he's the only driver not to pit off of the soft tyre yet. Who started on the soft anyway. There are a couple of medium runners still going ahead of him, but yeah, Laho's lap time's in the 107, high 107, low 107s, I should say, as Frelick is going to easily breeze around the outside of him and get himself up into 7th then. So Simon Frelick has kept position over Jarl Tyne, and of course Maciej Milnek, by responding, was able to come out ahead of Jan Grankvist to the tune of about 2 seconds as well. So yeah, Milnek is really coming alive and responding to what Jan Grankvist has done so far in this race, as we're about to see Mark Schluter get picked off as the number 1 Super Venturi breezes around the outside, but Milnek sets the fastest lap. There is 104.4. He is absolutely flying, especially in that first sector.
Remarkable stuff here. Milnek really lighting up the timing sheets at the minute, and his competitors for victory as of right now, a bit of a jumbled up order.
Yeah, Lalu might try and hold him up here, because Lalu, of course, teammate of Jan Grankvist here, as we see Grankvist nipping up the inside. Luckily, that errant tyre that was at turn 4 and 5 has now been collected up by the brave American marshals, and that means that Zolciuk is able to continue in 5th position without being thrown up into the air by stray rubber then. But Jan Grankvist up to 4th, and we can see the true gap to Milnek, 3.1 seconds there. So Jan Grankvist now needs to hope that Lalu can help him out, but such is the pace of Maciej Milnek that I think the HRT is going to be through before he knows it, as Hygo Poom decides to pit from the lead.
Yeah, big move there for Hygo, just to a little bit longer on this stint. But here's Milnek for his lead back. Lalu won't want to give this one up easily, but even if he does, yeah, there's the pass. So Lalu needs to keep up for as many corners as possible, just to give Maciej a little bit of a distraction, but that's certainly not going to happen. And Lalu will now realise, yeah, my teammate is coming. I need to find a safe place to let him by. Tie in there in the THR in a battle with Sooks right now. Let's see if there's any way by. But yeah, definitely the Stax Racing team, they need points, however they may come. Just anything will be satisfactory just to get their season underway after only scoring 1 point in 2024. They just want to find that opening in this new campaign before spring break. We'll shorten things down for a month.
Yeah, and of course Zolciuk, who had a very, very good opening first season in Super League in 2023, where he got a top 4 in, I believe it was Australia, and was a regular point scorer. He's actually gone the longest on the mediums of the people who started on the mediums, or at least had until he pitted just now, and lets the Altan through as a consequence then. But you can see all of our top 4 in the same strategy, with the exception of Jan Grankvist, who is on the hards. And I did say that Tyen is the only other one that's shadowing that strategy now, and he's about 2.2 seconds behind Simon Frelick then. So our leaders just ever so slightly starting to space out, but with Frelick still a little bit of a threat to Grankvist being on a softer compounder tyre here. But this could get really, really interesting, and if Grankvist gets overtaken by Frelick before he can catch up to Lalu, that will really put a spanner in the works, because yeah, Lalu, it's going to be difficult for him to let him through if he's also got to fight with Frelick.
Of course, yeah, if they're on the start-finish straight, there's plenty of space, of course. Wide open oval racing is the name of the game most times at Indy. So there you go, he's going to just pit. So that saves the bother of having to back off on a start-finish straight. But now the battle is on. Can Frelick get into that DRS range in time? So far, not so good. So he's not going to get that extra boost from the rear wing flap. But on this last lap, he's just 700ths off Grankvist's pace. But if he keeps that up, particularly the final sector, there was promising signs here. Now we've Ruwalt on the move. Lovely pass. That is perfectly executed there. And HRT will be cheering their man on after that lovely pass. So Ruwalt with that early pit stop, now making big moves.
Yeah, and Ruh, of course, is actually on the lap older tyres than Sven Schubert, but being able to undercut put him in position to take advantage of that DRS as well. So interesting to see how that filters out over the course of the race. We saw actually a similar undercut used by Frelick, pitting a lap before Yeltine, able to retake position in terms of third, the battle for third in this race as well. So that's why Simon is within a second of Jan Grankvist at the present moment. But yeah, for Maciej Milnek, this is all working out brilliantly for him as he continues to extend that gap to Grankvist, which is exactly what he needs to do. If Grankvist is trying to two-stop this race and everybody else is maybe potentially going to try and free-stop, then that could be really, really fascinating, because then in that case, Milnek and Frelick both need to not only pass Grankvist, but get as big a gap as possible. On the move again, he passes the yet-to-pit Matthew Williams into the first corner. And another neat and tidy move. And now we've got 2 HRTs in the top 6, which leads me to believe they are set up supremely well in terms of how their car is set up for this Indianapolis road course circuit.
Yeah, they've definitely found something, either through their upgrades or just in setup in general, that favors this fascinating...
Both engines are 100% as well in the HRT team.
Hybrid, yeah, very true. Yes, the engine power primed and ready for HRT. So yeah, the road course, as it will be known in these parts, with the oval to begin the lap. It's certainly a track that, yeah, if you've got the confidence, yeah, it will give you plenty in return. But Schubert won't be giving up at all here, as he has the chance here to overtake Williams and make sure Ruwelt doesn't get any further ahead. So this should be a routine pass here down the inside. Schubert now has a clear run at DRS, and that will be a pass. If he can just slow down in time, it should be absolutely 100% sealed.
Yeah, no reason for Williams to fight too hard, actually, because, of course, he is one of the drivers that started on the did he start on the mediums, or was it on the hards? I think he started on the hards, and is trying to go as long into the race as he can, essentially. So he is sort of doing a similar strategy to Grankvist, except instead of having to start on the softs, he can afford to do his hard stint now and then maybe do 2 medium stints later on, but it gives him a lot of options later on with the strategy, essentially. So it's a sort of, the trade-off will come with him doing less pit stops, but he'll be slower in this stint, of course, significantly slower than the cars around him. But by not pitting, he'll sort of have artificially gained track position, essentially, if that makes sense. Because you can see he's 15 positions better off than where he qualified. Similar case for Shepard, who actually pit onto another set of softs quite early. And Vincent Gutt as well, I think, is another one who started on the... Oh, no, he actually pit 8 laps ago for medium tyres, I believe, off of the softs. And now we see Maggio is going to breeze past Matthew Williams into the first corner with DRS. Even Williams with his own DRS from the back of Schubert, powerless to stop the Italian breezing through in that bright red, or bright yellow, sorry, Valet. Briefly went colorblind with the red bit on the airbox there. But yeah, and Maggio, after having a bit of a messy middle part of that first stint with that mistake, is starting to regroup here, which is great to see. And Fletcher, of course, still in the top 5. So there's every chance that Valet could get a big double top 5, top 6 out of this race if they play their cards right, of course, and hope that they can strategically outlast their opposition in terms of the tyre strategy, or just outfox them. We could even see weather change in the final part of the race like we saw in Spain, but at the moment we are seeing a forecast, as we saw at the beginning of the race, saying no precipitation for the next 2 hours, essentially. So in theory, the clouds should all miss the circuit, but we thought that before, and it's not always worked out. Grankvist, by the way, you can tell the mediums on Ferrick's car have maybe started to just go off a little bit. We know tyre wear has been a bit of a concern for Simon Frelick past couple of races. We see Heiko Poom putting a move on Vincent Gutt, another of our drivers that's trying a unconventional strategy, of course, having pit 10 laps ago for a set of medium tyres, but Heiko Poom made short work of him indeed, having done 20 laps on the hard before now switching to his own set of mediums. So yeah, genuinely, by staying out of trouble, Poom and Gutt are really in contention just outside the top 10 for the last couple of points paying positions, as there's Loic Moynier recovering from his disastrous first lap. The damage is gone, and Moynier has been lapping in the mid 105, so a little bit slower than the leaders as he has to pick off some of the mid-pack here, but he's right behind Dylan Fisher, so these two should be fairly evenly matched. Could be a good fight, Owen.
Yeah, this should be braced up very nicely here. Mounier with title ambitions as of right now. Dylan Fisher, of course, wants to make sure he can follow the example of his teammates. We do have an AKA Hero versus Spark bunch up here. Here comes Munier. Will he pick the inside line? No, he won't. He'll stay to the high line, the opposite of where he was on lap 1. And that should be clean as a whistle. Lovely stuff from Loic. And that gets himself into 14th. And he can now try and compare himself head-to-head with his teammate, Vincent Good.
You would expect Vincent might not fight too hard if he gets close enough, because look at that last lap, 105.4 for Loic Mounier, a tenth quicker than the previous effort he did, and 106.3 for Vincent Yacht, and that is with the DRS from the back of Hygo as well, because he's still within 8/10 of him. So you'd think Loic has easily got the pace here. For Dylan Fisher, the problems continue because Jukapeka Lalu is also lapping in the low 105s as well, and starting to catch him about 4/10 quicker that previous lap. So Dylan Fisher might struggle to hold on to the final point in this phase of the race, but we're not even at half distance yet. So I think we are looking at most of the field doing free stop strategies here, and with only maybe the likes of Williams and Grankvist trying to two-stop it.
Yeah, that definitely seems to be the playing field. For FS1 last week, I made the comment that the pit lane is so long, you have to really think about when you're going to pit, as that is just a usual one-stop kind of feature race. So you have to time your moment just right so you don't land in the traffic. But here with the 3 compounds of tires available, it means that you can definitely find more gaps in the track. You can experiment with longevity on the hards, maybe go mediums and begin to push a bit more. And indeed, Shepard and Fournier, the only drivers on softs at the moment in the top 20. They just have to go non-stop and try and make up as much ground as possible before they have to pit again. But yeah, definitely the length of the pit lane here at Indianapolis doesn't seem to phase these Super League cars whatsoever.
Yeah, the other thing about the pit in to out time being a bit longer here is because you have to pit, slow down for the pit lane speed limiter from quite a high speed that you enter. As Williams finally decides to pit after 28 laps on the hard tyre there. Interesting. Well, actually, it's more like 29, isn't it? Because we've just gone onto lap 30. So, yeah, that's interesting data, of course, for the rest of our runners on the hard tyre, like Grankvist, for example, who's done 14 laps on the hard tyre so far. So that would mean Grankvist is about halfway through his stint at the moment. And he started the last couple of laps to match Mathieu Milnet. That's why the gap isn't going over too far over 5 seconds at the moment. At the moment, it's just under 6, I think. So Milnek is slightly faster, but we're starting to see the crossover between the mediums and the hards on this respective stint.
Yeah, without a doubt. And they are definitely the balance. The performance should be pretty equal to begin with. And then, yeah, as the laps go by, the hards will eventually grow into the race as the mediums fade. Critical moment for our contenders, whether it be for the podium or just even the top 10. There's so much at stake here. The gaps are pretty, let's say they're spread out, certainly at the top 5 mark there. You can see the intervals. You've got 5 seconds, 2, 2, 3, and 4. But these battlers, 7th through 11th, they're all pretty bunched up together. Well, certainly 7th through 9th, I should say. But yeah, again, Poom and Munier, who's going to catch him up soon, as of course Vincent has let him by. That's the case. Yeah, that battle should be underway in a little while, as Munier will now have clean air again. But here's Maggio. You can see him in his Valley Esports. He's got the 2 competitors just in front of him, Ruwalt and Schubert.
Yep, and Maggio, of course, it's interesting if you look at his lap times. He started to regroup on the hard tyre, which is interesting because we know Maggio is another of those drivers who always, I think he's quite hard nosed, but he's always like, oh, I just chew through the tyres. And he seems to have acquired this reputation for chewing through the tyres, even though I've commentated on races where Maggio has done amazing tyre-saving drives in other single-seater R-Factor 2 championships and gone on to win races with those sort of keeping softs alive for much longer than anybody else, for example. But now he is actually starting to outpace, only by a tenth or so at the moment, Sven Schubert ahead of him. But they're both, of course, on the hard tyres here. And they're starting to catch up to Stefan Ruhr, who, of course, undercut to try and gain ground in this race, didn't he? So he's got tyres that are a lap older than both Schubert and Maggio behind him. And there is, of course, a 3-second gap to Thomas Vack behind Maggio. So at the moment, it is a little bit of a sense of Schubert either being held up by Ruel or he doesn't quite have the raw pace to pass him, and Maggio could well be on a bit of a charge here if he gets half a chance. Meanwhile, Matthew Williams, unsurprisingly, on a fresh set of mediums, I believe, has set the fastest lap of the race, 104.3, down in 20th position. He's about 3.7 seconds behind Jeffrey Fournier, who's fighting away with Mark Schluter and Zolt Zux just outside the points there, as we just saw. I think Rolt just blinked in and out of existence briefly there. Meanwhile, up front, Grankvist continuing to match and now actually lapping slightly faster than Maciej Milnek, only by a couple of milliseconds, but it all adds up, and he's pulling away, crucially, continuously from Simon Frelick, who is actually starting to fall into the clutches of Jarl Tyne, just a second and a half behind him then. So really our top four are still fairly bunched together on their different strategies, but I think it's slowly turning into Milnek versus Grankvist.
Yeah, indeed. So we're not even halfway there yet. It's closing in. In a little while, let's say another 10 minutes, we should be halfway. And we'll know for sure how this battle for a race victory will develop. But here's Schubert. He's in this awkward sandwich here. He can't go for the jugular against Ruwalt because that'll just allow Maggio straight into the play. And that will give Valley Esports a big boost if they can get their cars 5 and 6. In a little while. That'll be absolutely amazing. But yeah, he's going to have a go now, Ed. He's going to make this perfectly clean. He cannot waste any more time. Let's see if he can pull it off.
Schubert then with the DRS, and he's comfortably ahead just before the braking zone, so not much that Rolt can do ultimately, and he even through turn 2 has to back out a little bit just to not hit the back of the Fraser Tartan, and that means Maggio's all going to get very close, especially if Rolt goes as wide as that through turns 4 and 5, and there's half a chance up the inside, but Maggio knows that's a risky corner through that long left-hander of 5, which is where Moritz Kropp and Tom Stevens' races ended. That's really not an ideal place to make a move then, and Maggio is forced to wait for a better opportunity with the DRS next lap around. Meanwhile, Sven Schubert starting to make hay here in the top 6, and yeah, certainly Fraser Tartan are going to desperately need those points, especially to keep the likes of Valet and TOP and HRT as well, for that matter, behind them. HRT 9th in the teams table. They're still looking good here, but Ruel with that earlier stop, the bad side of that, the downside, is that he's had to come in earlier after just 19 laps on the mediums there. So is he going to be able to make this strategy work? I think we're definitely seeing Ruel on the free stop, and Moynier also coming in after 21 laps on his mediums as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. 3-stopper on the way for Ruwalt. Here's Lalu now. He's got more pace this lap, and he should be able to secure that. Yeah, nicely done against Vincent Gut there. So yeah, now Super Venturi making huge hay now as Lalu with more confidence in the car again. Reasonably fresh tyres, he makes that pass, and Gut has to just watch and try and
pits from the lead.
Yeah, here we go, race leader in.
So there we go, Grankvist inherits the lead as a result, and Simon Frelick is pitting as well. That makes sense because we saw that Tyne was starting to catch him there. So how much longer can Tyne extend this stint on the mediums? And can Jan Grankvist, now that he's well and truly in clear air, can he make the 2-stop work here? Because yes, Milnek and Frelick definitely seem to be both on the free stop here. Tyne might be able to try and convert to the 2-stop if he can extend this medium stint, but Tyne is probably going to have to go softs, medium, hards in this, which is a pretty unusual strategy, it must be said, as Milnek ready rejoin the order. He's in 7th, just behind Thomas Vack by about 2 seconds here.
Yeah, just a small bit behind here, but Milnek here should be able to catch up to Vac when those tyres are fully heated up and giving them that boost in performance. Yeah, crucial notes here to take for Super Venturi. They need to find out how they can manage this situation. If they can gain some time with the overcut, then yeah, they'll absolutely take it. Grankvist should be making his intentions known very soon. I think yeah, he's going to carry on for another lap.
Certainly, if he's doing the two-stop, or it could be a bit longer before we saw him in. Remember how long Matthew Williams is able to stay out. So Grankvist should be able to stay out for at least another 7 or 8 laps. As we see Milnek immediately on the attack past Thomas Vack, and this is exactly what he has to do, because remember, if he is having to do one more stop than Jan Grankvist, he's definitely going to have to overtake people on track to win this one. As we see Vincent Gutt now coming into the pits, that's going to drop him out of the points paying position. Here comes a recovering Matthew Williams on the attack past Mark Schluter very, very early on with the DRS. And Williams is back into 13th and chasing down Zoltzux for 12th position. But it's Milnek that's the fastest man on track at the moment, along with actually Loic Moynier, who sets a 104.190. So Moynier is flying. He's very quickly got past Dylan Fisher, and he's now starting to go back up towards the points-paying positions there.
Yeah, so he's going to lap Hoekstra here, race leader Grankvist. He's happy to carry on just a bit longer here.
Free DRS as well. He won't complain about that.
Extra DRS, absolutely. Rualt is proving there's plenty of pace in fresh tyres himself, as he wants to regain his top 7 there or thereabouts position. And there's a pit stop for Vac, so he'll be out of the points again for Road to Formula, but he could pull his way back in and try and mimic his teammate Alex Lahou.
So here's the interesting thing, Owen, because I think I can now finally sort of figure out roughly the shape of this race and how the strategies are playing out. If Grankvist is in a position where he 2-stops the race, Milnek 3-stops, and Milnek is catching him with, say, less than 10 laps to go, and there's a battle between the two. If you're Jan Grankvist, because we talked about his mentality going into this one, do you decide, right, I'll bank second position, or do you look at Tom Stevens out of the race? Do you look at Loic Moynier recovering from damage only just inside the top 15, top 14, and think, right, I'm going to finish ahead of my championship rivals. I need to maximize that and get the full 25 points, or did you think, well, 18 will do here. I don't want to risk everything crashing into Milnek, especially after how the last 2 events have gone for him, with him crashing out, especially in Spain, somewhat needlessly. So he won't be having that plan in his mind, because he's very strong mentally, Jan Grankvist, especially having won the title. But what do you think he should do in that situation? We now see Frelich about to pick off, he's about to lap someone there. That looks like Dylan Fisher being lapped there.
To put myself in the position of a defending champion, I wouldn't necessarily fight tooth and nail in the defense. I would try, if I do get overtaken once, I would try my best to fight back and try and go for the overtake with about 3 laps to go or less. That would be my thoughts, but definitely the 18 points, or the 20 points thereabouts, if you can't get those to pull himself back in championship contention, then that is definitely imperative. He really cannot afford a blank today. He must get some points, and if you can get the safe 20, that'd be my recommendation. But knowing him, I think if he is in a position where he's going to finish second with a lap to go, he will try and fight for the win. Maggio there, getting close with the defense, but of course Milnek is through.
Yeah, Milnek actually going very close to the wall on the exit of the banking there, which shows you all the risks he's taking, and he knows that Grankvist, having stayed out, is committing to that 2-stop strategy now. He can't bail out of it now if he wants to win this one. As we see Matthew Williams right behind Zoltzux, DRS open for both of them, but it's going to be Williams with the inside line into the first corner there, and with the mediums, a little bit of contact with the front wing there, but they're just about getting away with it, and Zux is pushed back into 12th, but it's going to be 13th almost if Rualt can get up the inside, but the second HRT is just prevented there. So Rualt has effectively been sort of undercut strategy-wise by Williams here. So this is a really fascinating comeback from Williams. That 29-lap stint on the hards in the first part of the race has really set him up well here. Fletcher now is going to pit from 3rd, so that's surely going to put Sven Schubert onto the podium.
Yeah, happy days here for Schubert.
Well, not for long.
Taken away again. Milnek is going to be through, not necessarily using the high line and the apron anymore. Very, very risky stuff, whether it is Super League or indeed IndyCar. So Milnek takes away that little party time for Schubert, Sven Schubert, and now down to 4th place. And now here is a repeat for Holland Racing Team. They've got one car gaining places to get onto the podium, and Rualt wants to get himself by as well, and that is completed. So Sooks just had to watch and admire what was going on there, as he wants to get himself a championship point for the first time this season.
So Milnek is gaining about a second a lap on Grankvist at the moment. So if he starts gaining like a second and a half, this could be difficult times, because Grankvist might, even only having to do 2 stops compared to 3, might come out into that final stint and suddenly see Milnek a lot closer to him than he would have hoped for. And we also don't know that the sort of in-between strategy is what Jarl Tyne is doing in that THR, because he could well try and switch to a 2-stop like Grankvist is doing. He's run very long on those mediums, 25 laps in this second stint there, and he's only about 2/10 slower than Grankvist as well. So THR, even though they've got 1 car out of the race, their second car has got very good tyre life here on those mediums.
Yeah, most impressive there, Tyne. Doing a great job here, but Alex Lahou, we're watching his rear view camera. He has to say, sorry about that, nothing I can do. Williams has been exceptional this now that he's got himself. Yeah, he's well and truly got those tires working. He's in the top 10, and Adonis, they're pushing on, and they're seeing how many points they can get here. Pantsar, of course, in 18th, needs to find a fair amount of time. 3 seconds he wants to get to Vac via Shepherd. So yeah, certainly a solid race so far for Adonis. But yet Williams, now that he is giving it his very best now, is free to push on. That is encouraging signs for Adonis.
Yep, certainly. He's been forced onto this alternate strategy because he qualified 24th on the grid, didn't he? But he has absolutely made the best of it. And I remember the very, very first time I saw Matthew Williams was actually at this very track in FSR World Championship, where he actually almost nearly impacted the result of the World Championship that year in 2022, as he goes side by side now with the Road to Formula. That's Stefan Rott, actually, in the very, very similarly liveried, but actually slightly different because they put the green on it this time, HRT. Thank you, Mr. Omagui, for that livery design. But there we go. Rott now picks off Lahou, who you can tell is just trying to extend on some pretty worn 23-lap-old mediums, I believe. Grankvist is in. Here we go, second stop for Grankvist, and he's very twitchy because, of course, you have to turn and brake for the pit lane speed limit. Tyne continuing, though. Fascinating strategy from THR. Can they make this work? Because Milnek is within about 7 seconds of him now, and I say continuing to catch more than a second per lap. And now Grankvist, this should be his final stop of the race. He goes on to the hard tyres again. Yep. So Grankvist has absolutely got to commit to this now. We've got 31 laps left to go in this race. It's quite a lot. Can he do this? Can he keep those hards alive? Or is Milnek going to catch him at the end? That's the big question here.
Yeah, it's a very telling question. We cannot possibly give you a straight answer about how it's going to play out. I was hoping
you would, Johan.
Yeah, well, we could predict, but not a guarantee. With Grankvist, yeah, so far he wants to make sure he will not have any traffic in the way, as he now has the chance to push on these hard tires. And then he'll have to hope Milnek hits again, and they'll have a head-to-head battle. But Tyne, you can't discount him. Of course, THR are trying to win 3 races in a row. 1 each between the teammates, but of course Tom Stevens was collected in the lap 1 destruction. So yeah, it's all up to Jarl to try and make it 3 wins in a row for THR. But Milnek is going to absolutely say, this is my race, I will not lie down. No matter what strategy everyone else is on, I'm going for this win. And I'm now into 2nd place, as Sven had to concede. But yeah, Fraser Tartan, they'll be trying an outside shot for the podium here. So Schubert is on target right now.
You see Vopke Hoekstra could not get out of the way as he was being blue flagged and put a lap down there by Maciej Milik, the Polish driver. As we see Fletcher up the inside of Lalu, who's done 22 laps each on the hard tyre here. So yeah, Fletcher on very, very fresh hards, trying, I believe, potentially to get to the end, or he might put in a soft tyre stint right at the end if he's feeling. He's already done 2 stops. It wouldn't be out of the question to do a 3rd here. So Tyne, of course, I'm mistaken. Tyne is on the hards, not the mediums. It's a bit hard to keep track at certain phases of this. Grankvist, the big danger for Grankvist now is at this particular phase, he could get caught in traffic behind the likes of Frelick and Maggio and Schubert, of course, all of whom sort of owe us a pit stop before the end of the race. And in fact, they're both coming in now. So yeah, Frelick will be the next target for Jan Grankvist, who is about 3 seconds up the road. But it's a race in the pits between Schubert and Maggio here. Maggio's been shattering Schubert for all of that second stint, puts the hards on. So he is going to the end, much like Jan Grankvist is. I imagine it's the same for Schubert. Does he get going? Yes, he does.
No flinch there for Maggio, but he'll know I have a chance here to get a fight on here if he can get a better outlap. We do see overtakes on the start-finish straight at the minute. It could possibly be Williams again. We'll see that in a moment.
It's Vac taking Zux as well for 10th there.
Yes. Oh, there's a look at Chris Shepard as well, I think, in the Red Archer.
Oh, it's like Moynier who's jumped Maggio there.
Yeah, so, yeah, beg your pardon there. Mounier in the Spark is now ahead, so Shepard in 15th. He's just in view of here. Maggio stuck in between, so Maggio, he's got a car to overtake if he wants to get into this fight with Schubert. But Schubert himself has to get by Zux as well.
Yeah, problem for Moynier, he's done 11 laps on those mediums. He's not going to be able to nurse them to the end, so he's got to pit to make another stop at the end, and he's been forced into that because he had to make that early stop where he was just hemorrhaging time in that first soft tyre stint. So I think we could see Moynier in either for another set of mediums, or if you can stretch his stint long enough, he might go for the softs to the end, as now we see Schubert immediately on the attack past Zux, who could still be on for the final couple of points if he plays his cards right. But look at that, Moynier not wasting any time. He follows Schubert through. So very opportunistic there, late on the brakes and using the latent pace that we've seen from Loic Moynier this season. Him and Williams have really been the standout recovery drivers today, chewing their way through the pack, haven't they?
Oh, for sure, yeah. It's a joy to watch. Maybe it's not the race they would have thought about. Here's Tyne in pit lane, so Milnek can have the lead back. THR, though, can they keep in contention for the podium? Grankvist should be well through before this pit stop is complete. There we go, he's already ahead. So Tyne has to fight tooth and nail here. He should be in range for perhaps full push on hard tires and maybe go for the mediums. It's going to be that sort of bubble that needs to reach. But let's see now with Sergio Fletcher now entering the top 5. Where will the THR re-emerge? It should be pretty close. Yeah, very close indeed.
Oh, and it looks like Fletcher has undercut his way through. So Tyne losing track position, but he will have the fresher tyres to try and fight back with. Interestingly, Grankvist has been setting personal best laps of the race in his pursuit of Simon Frelick. He's been consistently lapping 3 or 4 tenths faster, and he has been matching the times of Maciej Milnek. So Milnek is only about 11 seconds ahead of Grankvist. So at the moment, if Milnek has to make that third stop, he would have it'd be Grankvist that would have a comfortable lead over the Polish driver then. So it's going to be fascinating to see which way this all plays out here, whether Super Venturi are going to take their third win of the season, or if HRT are going to take their first win since 2022, which would be a huge, huge upset. And certainly Milnek's first win since 2022, as well as Wopke Hoekstra once more has to get out of the way of the leaders now that they've pit again and come out behind him. But Grankvist, he's got his sights set on Simon Frelick here. He cannot afford to be held up by another Polish driver. Looks like the two countrymen helping each other out here a little bit.
Yeah, certainly at FS1, it was a quite unusual situation where every single penalty that was up for consideration was protested by a Polish driver, and they were all accepted. So definitely FS1 is certainly Polska Grom land. But here we have the chance for Poland to have more glory with Maciej Milnek. And of course, we've seen Frelick for many years as well. Quality driver. But he's up against the number one here, the reigning champion, Grankvist. He's got a huge run here, over 310 kilometers an hour now. He's ready to make the pass before DRS is activated. There we go. There's the activation point. He's ahead. Just needs the braking zone to be sure. Yeah, he's through, but needs to slow it down, and he certainly has.
Yep, and that's 8 lap fresher tyres on Grankvist's car, and now he's within 11 seconds of race leader Milnek, but it's Rot in the other HRT that's fighting Grankvist's teammate Jukapega Lalu into the first corner, and he goes round the outside there. He had just enough overspeed and was late enough on the brakes to pull that one off. So Vril, after fading a little bit in the middle phase of this race, has really started to come back now and fight his way back into the top 6, not losing any time behind the number 52 Super Venturi. Now as we cut back to Moynier, who has just been passed by Maggio, who's just set a personal best lap there. He's 104.5. Maggio getting very close now to the back of Thomas Vack as he tries to stay with Sven Schubert, as both car drivers definitely trying to run to the end and finish in the top 5 and top 6 respectively.
Yeah, that would be absolutely huge if they can pull that one off. So Maggio here, he has to fight his way back and get close to Sergio again. He should probably hopefully be in reasonable contention. But now, speaking of Sergio, it should be a chance now. But Tyan is going for the move here. He's declared ahead for the moment, and now we can see it for ourselves. That's the move completed, and Sergio Fletcher falls to 5th place. But that's certainly no disappointment. He's still in with a great show here. Maggio, though, can he give Valley Esports a happier start to the lap? He certainly can, as Vach, again, one of those cases where he had no chance and he has to concede the place.
Yep, and even though he's just set personal best lap of the race, Tyan, Grankvist has gone 2/10 faster than him. So at the moment, I think Jan is doing enough here. It just depends what sort of pace Milnek has got in that final stint, and I wonder if HRT prepared maybe another set of soft tyres for the final stint. We'll have to see. Or he's just going to breeze through the mediums, as there you can see the exact gap just dipping below 11 seconds once more as the Red Archer comes out of the pits, crucially just behind our race leader. That's crucial for Milnek. He's not held up at all by the back marker there. That, of course, would have to be Chris Shepherd then being put a lap down.
Yeah, so we now see the gap here for the race lead as things stand with the lap times there. Grankvist 0.4 of a second, give or take, quicker that last lap. So the crossover point will be coming pretty soon here for Matche. There we go. The gap is just going to fluctuate up now as Grankvist should be at a slower point in the track. Here is the battle for 15th. Is this going to be Vincent Gutt ahead? Yes, it will be. So Vincent Gutt returns to the top 15. Kilk again, there's just a little option that he could muster there. It was definitely momentum in Gutt's favour, and this is Spark with a double point score as things stand.
Now, I don't think Milnek could, of course, in theory, try and stretch these tyres out to the end. He's done 17 laps on them so far, but it could be quite a difficult task, and we could rate the Grankvist is catching him. It's sort of forcing him, whether he was on the bubble or not, about switching to a free stop. He's sort of got to do it now. The only other issue is, because Tyan is pit as well, responding a couple of laps after Grankvist, Tyan is within 20 seconds now of Maciej Milnek. So more cars to get in the pit window, the more tricky this looks. Milnek and Frelick both on very, very similar strategies now as well, given that they're both on 17-lap-old medium tyres, I believe.
That's right, yeah. Frelick should be on the same strategy here with the current stint. So, yeah, Frelick, can he eke out a little bit more life out of those tyres and then fight back? Yeah, definitely will figure that out soon enough if he wants to follow the plan that is leading to a three-stopper. Here we go, Milnek. He's actually going to lose out here. He's let one of the Red Archers through, I think, or is that...
That's Shepherd coming through on a fresh set of mediums.
Yeah, it's a bit unusual, but there you have it. Milnek maybe starting to fade a little bit. You can see the gap is definitely shrinking. Most recent lap, Grankvist took half a second out of him, and it looks like he's going to take another second out of him for this lap. Sector 1 on its own, thanks to that unlapping. 21.4 for Grankvist, at 22.3 for Milnek.
Yeah, Lalu and Williams both entering the pits for their final stops as well. So, yeah, this is stop 2 for Lalu and stop 2 for Williams. So both of them, yeah, just really extended their stints. Lalu did 31 laps on the hard tyre in that stint, which coincidentally is exactly the distance that Grankvist has got to cover. So Jan Grankvist has got to feel good about being able to make it to the end here, because if Lalu can do it, you can bet your bottom dollar that not Matthew Williams, Jan Granqvist can be able to. Maybe Matthew can do it too, but that's immaterial. So that's more Lale's problem at the present moment, as Williams comes out of the pits still 2.5 seconds behind, and they are in 15th and 16th respectively, and we should expect Lale and Williams to start to gain places now on the fresh tyres.
Yeah, in fairness to Milnek there, he actually got a purple sector 3, so he was actually pretty graciously accepting of that extra slipstream.
This could be an in-lap for Milnek.
This could be the in-lap for sure. Yeah, he's got to push a lot harder now just to make sure he gets as much life out of the tyre. That can give him the push he needs for the final stint. Yeah, definitely medium tyres should be the decision here if he wants to pit. So let's see if he's got all that reserve. Yeah, exactly right, Ed. He's coming in, so he's used everything in reserve. He's got these tyres as far as he needs them to go. And this is the big call for the race victory, as champion Granqvist will regain the lead, but he'll be on the defensive from this point on. And Freilich pits exactly the same time, so 2 big ticks, as Ed was spot on there with that call.
Yeah, so Milnek, where's he going to come out? How far behind Jarl Tyne will he be? Because Tyne has just come through. Mediums, unsurprisingly, going on the HRT there. And Simon Freilich, he is going to come out behind. Roll. Looks like Roll is going through as well, it would seem. There's Roll in the background. So Milnek comes out in 4th position behind Sergio Fletcher then. So Fletcher, we know, has done about 15 laps. It looks like Tyne, we know, is definitely going to the end. So effectively, Tyne has undercut Milnek by about 8 laps here. So he'll be, although Milnek having done that extra stop, of course. So yeah, this is going to be very, very interesting. Of course, Granqvist, Tyne, Fletcher all on the hards, but Milnek on the medium. So he's got to rely then that he's got more pace on the mediums than those on the older hards. He should be able to clear Fletcher. He should be able to clear Tyne, but Granqvist is the big question mark.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah, huge call to see if this extra stop can actually pay off in the long term. Hygo Poom there, the only driver on softs at the moment, so yeah, he will have to use these laps. Certainly the soft tires, 12 laps, gonna go on 13 laps. Rualt will pit again. So Rualt, we saw him pit extremely early in the first stint. Now you can see some of these key rivals for the top 5 are pitting, so he'll want to try and get these medium tires on and try and push on to match, or at least look at Milnek and see, yeah, I'm going to try my best to follow that particular approach and try and get extra points for the team. We're now watching Alessandro Maggio for Vale Esports and his battle with Sven Schubert. It's going to be about half a second between them now. First evenly split here, give or take a 1/10 of a second. Milnek fastest, purple sector 2 there, so just ahead of these guys.
Yeah, he went purple on the outlap as well.
Yeah,
and he's about 7 seconds clear of them now, and right behind is that Sergio Fletcher immediately in front of him then, as he just kicks to the left hand side, and he gets very, very close in the dirty air in the wake of that Vale Esports driver, but no matter, with DRS he's easily through. 103.5, brilliant lap from Milnek. He's exactly what he needs to do at this phase of the race then. Gap to Jan Granqvist, 14.6 seconds here with let's see, less than 20 laps to go. He's got about 13 laps or so to do this.
Yeah, he's definitely got the final quarter of the race.
17 laps, sorry.
Yeah, 17 laps, not too bad. It is achievable. But he has to be absolutely spotless from here. Fist, I know, had to fight his way up from 5th on the grid, if I recall. So Granqvist, now that he has this opportunity to push on, yeah, exactly, there you go. He's climbed 4 places, so that was a P5 start. So now with this opportunity to be on his own, he has to be giving his best shot before those tires will start to wear down. But Milnek, he has to be absolutely spotless here, no mistakes, or else he will be in a very precarious position if he wants to actually win the race. But job number 1 is to catch Tyne, of course.
Yeah, Loic Moynier, by the way, sits the fastest first sector of the race as he tries to chase down Matthew Williams on that alternate strategy, essentially, that both of them are on, essentially. Williams undercut Moynier by about 2 laps But now Loic is starting to strike back. Another purple sector. Vincent Gut now pits from just inside the top 10. But yeah, so for Milnek here, it's crucial that he, again, just like he cleared Fletcher extremely quickly, he needs to do the same to Yartan. As we see the epic racing car of, I believe that was Xavi Ross, just getting out of the way then for the leaders. As Moynier, there we go, his fastest lap of the race for the Spark, 103.338. So yeah, he's taking almost over exactly a second out of Matthew Williams then, with only 2 lap fresher tyres, which is quite extraordinary there. But yeah, here we're going to see a replay then of Jeffrey Fournier, who's down in 25th position. I think Fournier has just retired from the race. Those brakes didn't look too healthy as he came into the box there. That potentially could be part of the reason. He decided to retire mid-pit stop there, which is a bit unusual. But yeah, definitely not a great, after getting the podium last time out, not a great day for Fournier. As there we go, Frelick has picked off Maggio into the first corner. And yeah, he's just slicing through them. Frelick 103.7s at the moment. So yeah, he's getting the most out of these mediums. And Schubert surely is not going to be able to provide much resistance either. Simon Frelick, he may not quite be on course for the podium just yet, but you've got to think he is in with a good shot of a 4th position here. I think Tyen might be just a bit too far up the road for him.
Yeah, that certainly makes sense. It would require a huge turnaround for Frelick to get the podium. I would say 4th place is attainable if Sergio Fletcher pits in a little while, or else he's going to just have to eke those tires out to the finish. We'll see what Valet will be thinking very soon. But now, watching from the rear view of Schubert, his rear wing can't do a thing about this. Here goes Frelick. He's got the inside line wide open. Schubert holds his ground, but of course Frelick, with that extra speed, can just nip down the inside, and he returns the TOP Esports car into 5th place. So yeah, lovely watch points coming with 11 points there as things stand, but you could go for that little bit extra in this current form for Simon Frelick.
3rd stop's being made by Thomas Vack and Heigo Poom. Poom has just done 15 laps on the soft tyre, and with about 14 laps to go, he's going for another set of softs, and a similar strategy for Thomas Vack as well, who had his soft stint obviously at the beginning, but now they've sort of converged together and yeah, come out of the pits only about 3 or 4 seconds apart, essentially, with Mark Schluter now in between the both of them. So yeah, it's all starting to play out. By the way, for Stax fans, Zoltzux is about 5 or 6 seconds off of the final points paying position, just under 2 seconds behind Chris Shepherd, although he is being closed in by Dylan Fisher behind him. So yeah, it's interesting these strategies play out as we see. Oh, Schubert's been picked off by Maggio. Maggio through into 6th position there, but we also see Milnek now really starting to close on Jarl Tyne as he's going 6/10 a lap quicker than the THR in front of him. So Jarl Tyne, it's a bold move to try and hold on to 2nd here, but I think even if he tries to defend this one, there's not much he can do against the fresh tyres on that HRT.
No, definitely don't force the situation. You'll just make things worse for yourself. Certainly at Indianapolis, there's just so much space you could pick from. Milnek has been one of the daredevils, using the banking to its fullest extent and even getting close to the wall. But it's going to be a routine pass here. He's already on the inside. Jarl does just the right thing, in my opinion. He does pick up some slipstream in return, but the Norwegian has fallen to 3rd place. And now, as anticipated, we're having our head-to-head. 2 stops Grankvist, 3 stops Milnek. Who's going to get the victory?
Yeah, last lap for Grankvist 105.0, Milnek 103.3, personal best lap of the race. Milnek, you've got to think if he can keep this pace up, will catch, but at some point there will come a crossover where the mediums will fade a bit quicker. So Grankvist has just got to hope that the HRT tyres drop off a cliff here and that the hards are the tyres to be on in the long run. But it's a huge gamble. The way Milnek is driving, I think he's actually doing enough. As Xavi Ross goes very, very wide to let the leaders through there.
Yeah, he does have that curb at least in these cars. I think it'll be okay. But let's see what happens on the action replay coming through to turn 3 now. Oh, the back end just totally vanished on him there. So he's in the gravel trap in turn yeah, the turn 4 in 5 and 6, I suppose. So yeah, he does recover and then he just has to pull over. Maggio, we'll check out his replay to see how he was able to overtake Schubert. And there we go, he has the slipstream and he's ready to pull out with DRS active. But yeah, he's going to have to wait till the last minute just to get his nose and 4 tyres in front. That was a very expertly executed pass. And that is Maggio still in a fight here with Schubert. Schubert, and comparing lap times, he actually did gain time back on Maggio last time. And at the moment they're evenly matched. And here's Vach. We saw him pitting a little while. And now with full attack, he can get the advantage over his teammate Lahou. So Vach on softer tyres can give it everything he's got for these remaining 11 laps. And see how far the Road to Formula team can go in this fight for the top 10. And here's Milnek again, lapping. Must be a Hoekstra again, the green stripes, or would it be Handgraf?
It might be Handgraf.
Beg your pardon, yeah, Handgraf.
Yeah, the problem with Grankvist now is also that he is starting to catch lap traffic a little bit. He's just a lap or two ago past right Kilk, and next up is Vincent Gutter as well, I think, who is another couple of seconds up the road then. So yeah, you can just see him in the distance, but luckily he's got a little bit of clear air here, and Milnek will have to deal with the same traffic, you would think, because the pit stops are starting to play out with 10 laps to go. But this is really crunch time. Can Jan Grankvist find anything? His last lap was a bit better, 104.6, but Milnek still a second faster per lap. 10 laps to go and he's 7 seconds behind. He's going to catch before the end. If Grankvist can get it so that he's only catching 7 tenths or something, then he's still got a chance here. But if Milnek get within DRS with maybe 3 or 4 laps to go, I think Grankvist might have to settle for second in this one. And look, he's even been caught down the straight by right Kilk, who unlaps himself on the soft tyres.
Oh my, this is the last thing Jan needs. He was overtaken fair and square. The one lapping there. Definitely a real spanner in the works here. And he'll want Kilk out of the way straight away. There's no about just let the opposition go. He needs this clean air. He doesn't need these tires getting any hotter than they already are. He's lost a second this lap by maybe you'll have to look at the car behind as well. Is that a quicker driver as well, despite being a lap down? Let's see. No, it would be the edge car. So the edge car is probably too far back at this stage. Or oh no, it'll be Pansar and the Adonis, I believe. Yeah, so Adonis will try and get Pansar on the lead lap as well. But yeah, Grankvist, that's an unwanted distraction, but it's all fair.
Pansar's on 11 lap old tyre mediums,
yeah,
I think.
So yeah,
not quite as quick as right Kilk. He's literally about 8 laps ago went onto the softs. So yeah, but you're right. It's another thing that Jan Grankvist didn't really need in this race. But after 2 non-scores in a row, we've seen Stevens having his second non-score today, and Luc Moynier, who with the damage at the start, with the sort of a aborted move on Paul Moritz Gropp, who he lost right at the start of the race. He is still in 10th, but he fell up to 10th just before the first stops, and it then was on this strategy where he had to recover to fight his way back through. He's just got past Matthew Williams, and up to 9th. You see yellow in the final sector. Schubert has immediately repassed Maggio for 6th position.
Ruwald is tumbling a bit. What happened to Ruwald? Yeah, there's definitely a problem with Ruwald. He's down the order. Ruwald's in trouble. Points. He's gone out of the points. That car is stationary. He's pulled to the side of the track.
Oh dear. Oh, no. So Dutchman is out of the running here with just 8 laps to go, isn't it? So I think there must be some sort of hardware issue because he's not been disconnected clearly. Oh, he has a big moment there just ahead of Moynier. Goes very, very wide. Wheel hits the grass. Oh, and he spins. Does a big 360. And I think almost a sort of rage quit after that mistake there. He just slowed right to crawl. But the wheel locked all the way to the right and then all the way to the left there, which is a bit unusual.
Yeah. He's already going to miss the apex there. He's compromised left tire on the grass. You can see the evading action there.
So lucky he didn't hit Moynier or Williams there.
Yeah, that would have been critical, yeah.
They're still dueling away with each other for 9th position now. Williams has actually gone back through as we speak. Meanwhile, Milnek, 3.7 seconds behind Jan Grankvist, and actually he only gained 7 tenths that lap. The mediums are starting to fade. This is exactly what Grankvist was banking on.
Yes.
But has this started to happen? a little bit too late to halt. Milnek, he's very, very determined to take this win, isn't he? If there's half a chance, he's going to go for it.
Yeah, I saw him at the peak of his powers, Edge, all those years ago, with the 3 wins in consecutive order there. He had the most incredible run when I was doing the social media duties rather than the commentary. And it's definitely an exceptional run. And he's bringing back that amazing performance and pace today. If he can just hang on in there, keep these laps ticking over, he can get head-to-head with the champ and get himself a victory for the first time in several years in Super League.
Yeah, but he is up against the best that there is right now in the form of reigning champion Jan Grankvist, of course, looking to take what I believe would be his 7th or 8th career victory. I lose track after a while. Let me, I can briefly confirm that. I'm pretty sure he took 5 last season, which were his first 5 wins. He took win number 6 and win number 7 in the first 2 rounds of this season. So yes, today would be win number 8, but I believe it would be win number 4 if Milnek, for his personal tally, if he can do it today. So that's what's at stake. But yeah, this would certainly be a huge, huge moment in Jan Grankvist retaking the championship lead after 2 very, very bad rounds for him. But the pressure from behind is going to be absolutely immense.
Yeah, it's going to be something special coming in just a little while if Milnek can carry on.
Frelick very close to Fletcher, by the way, in the battle for 4th.
Absolutely
and he's
right.
Through. Yeah. There we go. No real fight put up for by Fletcher on the old hard tyres. So yeah, Simon Frelick goes up to 4th, but he's 11-second gap to Tyne with 5 laps to go. And he's not really catching Tyne either. Jarl Tyne has actually driven brilliantly to get onto the podium. And here's a replay of that move. Simon Frelick gets close enough on the exit with the DRS. And Fletcher just stays to the outside, knows that the game is up. And Valet still on for a 5th and a 7th at the very, very least here, which would be invaluable for their championship challenge.
Absolutely, yeah. Valet want to get through, like they're just above the cutoff line for the average, I suppose. 8th place would be middle of the roads there. Currently on 44 points, and they're going to get right into play against Road to Formula, for example. So that's absolutely massive for Valet. But here's Milnek again. It's a little bit wobbly there into the first.
I'm seeing drivers unlapping themselves from Grankvist here.
Yeah.
Because a couple of drivers, Schluter and Handgraf, were 2 laps down. It's now showing only 1 lap. And yeah, I think Panzar still just the 1 lap down. So he's still in between Kilk and Panzar on the road is Jan Grankvist. There we go. You see Panzar behind right Kilk ahead of him. And yeah, just behind Robin Panzar now is Milnek, who is still catching at half a second, 6/10 a lap. But with only 4 laps to go, the gap 2.2 seconds. This is hanging on an absolute knife edge here at Indianapolis. And Milnek knows, oh, right out of the way goes Robin Panzar. He wants no part of this whatsoever. Maybe he mistook that orange car for Matthew Williams. And he goes, oh, I've just helped out HRT by mistake there. But no matter, the battle is very much on as Milnek still refusing to give up then as Grankvist starts lap 72 of 75.
4th round. We've got a head-to-head battle. Could that be Grankvist struggling again? Hard to tell from that distance.
Just re-lapped right Kilk.
Yeah, he has taken
the softs have started to go off on the Red Archer, so he's had to let Grankvist through. And now we'll give him a little bit of breathing space. Next up the road's Chris Shepherd as well, who is in a duel with Zoltzuks, and they are just outside that final points-paying position. Vincent Gutt holding on to about 2 seconds up the road from both of them.
Gosh, yeah, there's just so much at stake. Whether it be this this contest for a race victory, or indeed just to get a valuable championship point or 2.
None of these guys want penalties for avoiding blue flags as well.
Yeah, they definitely don't want penalties. So if there is one more dropout, Sooks or Shepherd will be in contention for points. So just at the moment they are out of range, and they'll have to settle for one last shock. We saw it there with Rualt a few laps ago. With his mistake, he departed the scene, so that opened up the opportunity for Vincent Gutt to take 15th. But if there's one more dropout, then this battle just ahead of race leader will mean so much to those drivers and teams, Red Archer and indeed the Stax Racing team. There's just so much they want to do this campaign. If they can get any points at all, it would be
Milnek's
fantastic.
taking another half second out of Grankvist. Previous lap, actually, Milnek only gained about a 10th, and now right out of the way goes Chris Shepherd. That was actually very well done there. Let's hope he shows the same courtesy to Milnek, who is now right on the back of the Englishman there. Chris Shepherd not having a great exit from 5 and 6 there, so Milnek is certainly going to get a little bit held up into turn 9 if Shepherd isn't careful. But yeah, Grankvist, the traffic giveth, but it also taketh away, as they say. And now Milnek has surely got a clear run. It's only Zux in the way, but Zux, of course, so agonizingly just a few seconds away from his first point of the season. We never know, there might be a post-race penalty as well, depending on what's happened in this race. It's been a bit tricky to keep track of it, but Grankvist surely is going to be on the blower if Zux costs him this win.
Yeah, that'll definitely be words to say. Rualt just confirms in chat it was a forced feedback failure, so yeah, that does make sense in the end. So hard luck, Stefan, but thanks for letting us know. Yeah, now to the lead battle. It is within DRS range, and Zolt moves out of the way. So now we have our contest with the penultimate lap well underway at this stage with head-to-head comparison for Sector 1. Now it's 1/10 for Milnek at the moment.
And look,
one shot of DRS to decide this race. Milnek has to be absolutely spotless here in Sector 2, or else he won't get that battle he's been craving for so long since he took the extra pit stop. Here we go, turn 10. A little bit of a wiggle, but it seems to be okay, and he will definitely be getting slipstream before the final oval banking here, and we'll begin the final lap with a head-to-head for the win. Let's bring it on.
Here we go then. Milnek closer than he's ever looked before. Grankvist not with a great exit. Push the pass in full use by Milnek. Side by side as they start the final lap. And it's the HRT that's thrown up the inside with DRS. Maciej Milnek retakes the lead at Indianapolis. And now he just has to hold on for the rest of this lap to take his first win in 3 years. And HRT's first win also in 3 years as well. And Grankvist, who held on for so long, the gamble on the 2-stop, it's going to fall just short here. That's got to be a bit gutting, but Grankvist is still on for a crucial haul of points that's going to put him back in the lead of the championship. Oh, and there's more drama going on behind.
Maybe Schubert has lost position to Maggio. You can just see the cars lapped behind Grankvist. He's not going to be able to catch up unless he's absolutely perfect in this final slalom. But Milnek, his zenith is coming. He can get his 4th career victory in Super League. His 2nd clear head. He's through one part of the oval, the sort of half curve, now the full curve at the Brickyard. Indianapolis will rise for Holland Racing Team and Milnek. Congratulations.
What an absolutely spectacular drive. Milnek wins the United States Grand Prix in incredible fashion at a very, very unexpected race. Grankvist is 2nd, and Yaltine rounds out the podium on a tough day for THR. That might well have been enough to keep THR in the lead of the team's championship. And there is Schubert. It's going to take one of his best results of the season, but he'll fall just short of Maggio, who completes a 5-6 finish for Vale Esports. Crucial points for the Italian squad. Moynier is right behind Jukka-Pekka Lalu, and this could be a close finish for 8th then. Can Moynier recover into the top 8 here, as Lalu done just enough to hold on here? I think the Finnish driver is going to take it then with Moynier. He's going to lose the championship lead, but nonetheless, he does bank, let's see, 7 crucial points there for 9th position. So that's going to mean he at least holds on to 2nd in the points. But what an absolutely crazy start to this race, and that really defined how it ended up going. Frelick leading the early phases, and then Milnek taking control, gambling on the 3 stops. Jan Grankvist gambling on the 2 stops. It was thrilling. The traffic very nearly decided it, but Milnek kept his head, kept up the pace, and had just enough push to pass at the end to stretch his legs into the lead. And a historic day for the Dutch HRT squad. We knew they won the favourites going into this season, but Milnek had yet to really play his hand, but he very much put all his cards on the table today, didn't he?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Milnek, that was spectacular work here. It was a slow build, of course. As he had to pit that extra time, he didn't want to stretch the tires, and yeah, definitely a superb job there. He wasn't on the front row by any means. He had to fight for it, and of course the collisions early on did help a little bit, but in a head-to-head with the champion, he prevails. Absolutely brilliant.
So from 4th on the grid, Maciej Milnek takes his first victory in 3 years. Not since, I believe, Baku 2022 was his last victory for AG Sports. It looks like he's run out of fuel on the way into the pit lane, but no matter. He had just enough hand to win by a second over reigning champion Jan Grankvist, who retakes the championship lead. Jarl Tyen banked third, a decent recovery from the Norwegian today to beat Simon Frelick to that final spot on the podium. But Sergio Fletcher and Alessandro Maggio returned valet spectacularly to the points, with Maggio passing Schubert for sixth right at the end there. Oh, as Loic Mounier decides to spin turn in the pit lane just for attention. Still not the most dramatic thing he did in this race. Jacob Begalalu just holds off Mounier, speaking of which, for eighth. It was a spectacular recovery by Loic after making a crazy dive from second on the grid into the first corner that ended up damaging his steering quite severely. Thomas Vack, he rounds out the top 10 then for Rotor Formula. And then following him in 11th position was Matthew Williams, who went from 24th to 11th. It was very long on the tyres for both Valalu and Williams at various points today, but both of them getting decent points as a result. Heigo Poom, also on an alternate strategy, ends up getting 12th at AKA Hero to beat Alex Lahu home. Dylan Fisher, he had a tough first lap, but still recovered to 14th to take 2 crucial points for AKA Hero. Then Vincent Gutt holds on to the final point of the day with Zoltzuks in 16th, just missing out for Stacks. That will be frustrating, having to let the leaders through right before the final lap there, but he played fair. And who knows, there might well be some penalties ahead, depending on how the stewards adjudicate all that chaos, especially from the start. Chris Shepherd, 17th in the end for the Englishman. Robin Pensar, 18th. Wright Kilk, 19th. And Mark Schluter. Yeah, Schluter looked promising early on, but yeah, the medium, running along the mediums at the start, he couldn't quite make it work in the middle and final phase of the race. And he rounds out the top 20. Stein Handgraf is going to come home in 21st. Xavi Ross, despite a dramatic spin, still gets the epic home 22nd in his first appearance in GPV. Wopke Hoekstra was 23rd, and the final finisher, but sadly not making it to the end, was Stefan Ruhr. After an otherwise strong day, the force feedback led him down, led to a spin and a retirement. Jeffrey Fournier also pitting to retire, along with Istvan Singel. And then lost on the first lap was Carlos Martin. Tom Stevens, how costly will this be in his championship when we look at the end of the season? Moritz Kropp, from a historic pole to utter misery. He got damaged by Loic Mounier at the start, and then the car just went out of control and took out Tom Stevens. And then Pascal Polens, who got eliminated in a crazy moment when Wright Kilk spun in front of him at the start.
Yeah, absolutely. Just that moment. He worked so hard and caught us all asunder there with the pole position. But yeah, just really unfortunate that 2 moments on that first lap, they were just beyond his control. Maybe, he could have slowed down a little bit more, but you don't want to come to a full stop either on the grass. You just bog yourself down completely. But yeah, he just spun around, and by the time he was trying to slow it, he was oncoming towards the fast cars at turn 4. So that's what cost him. But yeah, definitely Kropp should use this spring break just to reflect on what was positive and how well he did in qualifying. And we hope to see that again next month in Montreal.
Yep, it's certainly through no real fault of his own, saw his race unravel there. But certainly he did impress a lot of people today. Moritz Kropp, a much stronger driver than he was when he started in Super League. There you see the calendar. As you can see, 6 rounds completed. And we have got about 12 rounds still left to... no, not 12. I think it's slightly less than 12, isn't it? About 10... Is it 10 rounds or 12 rounds? I can't count right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. It was 10. But we have actually got our interview room starting to populate. As you can see, summer break is now in session. We haven't got any racing until the middle of June, because next Super League round will be the Canadian Grand Prix at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal on the 19th of June, where our battle will resume. Now, we've got to pick who we're going to interview first, of course. And I think the obvious one has surely got to be our race winner, isn't it? As I just take a brief look at the championship standings, I believe Jan Grankvist now leads by 8 points over Loic Mounier. So it's 90 versus 82. and then 71 points for Thomas Stevens, who is still in third ahead of Matthew Williams and Simon Frelick then. So yeah, dramatic scenes then as lead changes hands once again in the driver's standings. But I think let's not keep him waiting. Let's hear from our race winner then, Maciej Milnek. So we are now joined very, very triumphantly by our race winner. He's had to wait a long time for this, but he's finally back exactly where he belongs. It's HRT's very own Maciej Milnek. Congratulations, Maciej. What an absolutely spectacular drive by you to steal the win from Jan Granqvist right at the end with the free stop strategy. A crazy start to this race as the two leaders hit trouble in front of you. You overtook Simon Frelick. You committed to that free stop, and you had to go on the charge at the end, making the moves when it mattered. Very, very tense. First off, how are your emotions? They must be very, very high right now.
Yes, indeed, they are very, very high. But yeah, it was very tough race, even though Moritz and Loic got out of the way pretty quickly. But even though it was still very hard, crucial thing was pulling away ahead of Jan after our first pit stops. I think if I stayed one lap behind him, that would be it. I thought that I lost the race when Chris Shepard overtook me before my final pit stop. So I thought at that point that might be it. And I wasn't sure if I'm gonna catch Jan at all in the final stint, but luckily for me it happened, and luckily I had enough P2P to pass him on the last lap. So it was very intense. I wasn't sure if free stop would be the best strategy out there, but I'm happy that it was.
As you said, there was all the traffic from the drivers that were going a lap down at various points in the middle and final stages of that race. There were moments where it worked for you and against you, I think it's fair to say, because it sort of hurt Jan Granqvist as well. Was there ever a danger that because you were on the free stop, you had to make up so much ground, so it's just another car for you to overtake, essentially? Does part of you wish you'd gone on the two stop? Would it have made it an easier victory for you, or did you think with the tyre wear that you had, free stop was the way to go?
I never tried to stop. I had too much tire wear, so for me it was always free stopper. But I never tried hard to actually go for a two stop. Maybe I would have changed the decision, but it's all speculation right now.
Yes, and obviously team boss Stefan Rutring is going absolutely insane right now. His first win in 3 years, so it's a sort of shared winning drought for the both of you. What are you going to do to celebrate this one, of course, Maciej? It puts you in P7 in the championship, by the way.
Oh, that's good. I want to catch up guys up ahead. I don't want to say that I want to battle for like top spots, but I definitely want to catch up those who are still ahead of me.
Okay, so your way of celebrating is coming back after the summer break and repeating that 3 in a row streak that you did a couple of years ago.
Yeah, maybe have a cold one after the interview.
Oh, and do you have any questions before we let our race winner go?
Yeah, hi, Maciej. Congratulations. I suppose my one question is, a bit disappointing because Stefan had to retire due to a force feedback issue on his wheel. But knowing that you're holding the winner's trophy with the spring break coming up, what motivation would you have for him to make sure HRT will be back on top this time next month?
Well, I think for Stefan it's just a matter of doing laps because he is a very busy man and has very little time to practice. So if he can find time to put in a laps, I think he can be up there easily. It's just a matter of private stuff.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. Thanks so much, Maciej.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry. I'm being told to keep it down, apparently.
Gracious. Okay.
Because apparently, yeah, sorry. Anyway, but congratulations, Maciej Milnek, and we'll let you go now.
Thanks.
So we'll try and breeze through these last couple as quickly and quietly as possible. Shall we talk to, I suppose he had a very, very short race in the end, but nonetheless, very, very impressive qualifying pole position lap. So that's definitely worth celebrating. Let's have a quick word with Moritz Grupp. pole sitter from Fraser Tartan. So we're now joined by Fraser Tartan's very own Moritz Kropp. Moritz, commiserations, because that was a very, very unlucky start to the race there with contact with Loic Moynier, damaged your car at the first corner. It looked like Loic just lost the rear end, and then you unfortunately had the spin across the track, which not only ended your own race, but also sadly took out Tom Stevens, which we know was certainly not your intention. I know obviously you've been on the sidelines for most of the race, watching it. I know you must be feeling disappointed, but that qualifying lap, that was absolutely exceptional. Took everybody by surprise, incredibly consistent. It was that final sector that really sealed the deal for you, wasn't it? When the tight margins made the difference.
Yeah, exactly. I'm very happy with my qualifying pace for this one. It just came out of nowhere somehow. I mean, I did a lot of qualifying practice recently because I was always struggling with that in the last couple of races, also at the end of last year. And I want to improve on that, because my pace was always very good in the race, and I always made up many positions. I mean, if the rain wouldn't have hit in Spain, right, I would have gone from P15 to P6, right? The pace was there. So, in fact, after the second pit stop, I think I gained like 3 seconds to the leaders already. So, yeah, I mean, you know, starting at the back doesn't help, and I certainly improved the quality for this one. No, but it was a huge surprise for me as well. I mean, that was my PB as well, so by far, to be honest. Yeah, I only managed to get in the 0.5s even today, so yeah, that was a huge surprise to get pole here. But I knew I had it in me for the final lap, because I knew there was a lot of time left.
I've just noticed actually on the thumbnail, it's you on the thumbnail, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
So it must have given you good luck.
Yeah.
So Moritz, of course, at the start of the season, you were a man in the reserve role, probably not expecting to get a drive. You did do those impressive laps in preseason testing. It's such a turnaround for you, isn't it? Because obviously a few years ago you had your struggles in Super League. You went back down to FS1, won a couple of races brilliantly with Lunart that me and Owen were both commentating on, and yeah, I guess we're all here again at the top level in Super League. So it's good to hear that you're taking the positives from today. How do you see the rest of the season? Are you excited for Montreal? Do you think you can fight for pole there? Or it's a very, very different track, big braking zones, very, very high top speed is going to be very, very important there.
Yeah, I feel like Canada wasn't a good track for me in the past, but I can definitely change that. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, you know, I have no words for it. It's just also very difficult to explain. I'm just gonna try to do my best from here on. I'll be taking over the seat. To be honest, it wasn't even planned I was gonna do any racing at all this year. I just wanted to take a year off. And then literally on the day of preseason testing, Toby called me and said, "Yeah, do you want to drive? We're missing a driver." And I was like, "Okay, if I need to." And then I suddenly turned up, and I was like really quick, and that was very surprising. Also, I did the SL2 testing as well, and that went well too. And I don't know, I just found joy in it. And then, you know, I obviously got to drive for round 1 SL2, and yeah, that seemed to be alright. I mean, I had heavy damage after, you know, being put in the wall, but I don't know, it just kind of developed from then on. So I'm very happy and I'm very motivated, and I'm not feeling burned out this time. That's good.
Yeah, at least you got an early bath, right? Didn't have to tire yourself out, like Saudi, for instance, where you still had to do the rest of the race after crashing out. But anyway, it's brilliant to hear that Toby has been so supportive of you as well. And I would let Owen ask you a couple of questions, but I think we're a bit pressed for time. So I wish you all the very, very best, Moritz. Commiserations for today, but you still really, really impressed us in qualifying. And yeah, I really hope we get to see you do it over the full race, and that luck goes your way for the second half of the season when we come back from summer break.
Thank you very much. I hope I don't start last from, you know, getting penalties and stuff like that. But we'll see.
Well, you got a very good team boss fighting your corner, so let's hope not.
I'll try my best.
Thanks, Moritz. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Shall we hear from our second place man and new, but returning championship leader because he's taken the lead back off of Loic Moynier, and that is Jan Grankvist.
Yeah, let's do it.
So Superventura's Jan Grankvist joins us now. Jan, that's got to feel gutting to lose the lead, the win on the final lap. The two-stop very, very nearly worked for you. The traffic, it sort of worked for you sometimes, but then sort of came back to bite you at a couple of points as well. The good news, of course, is you're back in the championship lead by 8 points on a difficult day where Tom Stevens got taken out right at the beginning, and Loic sort of took himself out of the running, ended up squeezing home in 9th position and getting a couple of points. But you come home with 20, but not quite the 25 that I think you were fully aiming for there. So I guess while you got to praise the performance of Milnek, there's a sense that you still did a really, really good drive. You're the one that really got the two-stop to work in your favor, but it just wasn't quite enough to win today.
Yeah, it was a real mix of events today, so
Say that again.
I'm not quite sure how to feel at the moment. I mean, I would have been really, like, well, let's just say I'm quite happy for Matche, and it was an awesome drive between us two. It was more of a time trial because we were both just setting our best laps in clean air for most of the race. So it was a real fun, like, hot lap session to just keep looking at the delta and managing the tires just enough. So that was great, but I definitely feel a bit I don't know how to put it, but a bit sour after the way the Red Archer unlapped themselves. I mean, they unlapped themselves cleanly, but it did cost me a full second, which was definitely decisive.
Yeah, it's right Kilk, I think you're talking about, because he hit the soft tires near the end. So he was really quick for a while, and then they faded almost a couple of laps later, didn't they?
Yeah, it feels like this happens quite often, and it just, I don't know, it leaves a really bad taste.
I'll tell you how often it happened. Chris Shepard did the same in the second stint to Mathieu Milnek. Mathieu was complaining about him. So yeah, Red Archer, not a popular team apparently.
Yeah, no, I even the first one I remember quite clearly was also Red Archer in 2023 in Germany. I remember I was having a good battle with Jake for the win there as well. So yeah.
Oh, they leave for a whole year, and you still hold the grudge against them. Wow.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah. It's just not ideal, not a great feeling when otherwise I would have really enjoyed the close battle that we would have had. But yeah, I don't know. It's not really their fault. I mean, they obviously knew they had fresh softs, and most likely they were quicker, and they were. But it's annoying that it had to happen just like that.
Yeah, and it's a roller coaster season so far, hasn't it? Obviously, after the way the last two races ended for you, you really needed a stronger score today, and you did it with a brilliant drive. Of course, with your teammate Lalu in 8th, that means you've pretty much halved the gap. It's only 13 points now to THR. So THR have 128 points and Superventure 115. So you got to say, not only back in the lead the drivers, but the teams is not completely out of reach. We just need we need Toby Davis's cars to take each other out by accident a bit more often.
It's been happening, unfortunately, for them quite often already. But
yeah, Japan and now.
Yeah, Japan. But yeah, it's funny how emotions work. At the moment, the unlapping is the only thing I could think about. But yeah, in the grand scheme of things, we definitely did well, and it's a good round for us. And Laulu did an amazing job, to be honest, to climb all the way down from the grid to get to the P8, which is definitely helpful.
Sorry, my family are basically threatening to murder me if I don't immediately go to sleep because they all want to apparently go to sleep before 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. So, well, definitely before 10 a.m. But sorry,
that sounds dangerous. All right.
Yeah, sorry. So anyway, I'm. Should I just let Owen do the rest, or should I just whisper my way through it? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'd love to. I'd love to, but I can't. I just can't.
Well,
anyway, thank you very much for coming to us, Jan.
Yeah, thank you. As well.
Thanks, Ed. Yeah, just my quick question is: Canada was one of the few races that went wrong for you last season, but I know you do have positive results there from the past as well. So, what can you take during spring break that can make sure you're fit and flying for 2025 around Montreal?
Just decisive practice. I think last year the problem we had was, I mean, obviously we already had the disadvantage of the engine selection, and also our upgrades weren't quite there for that round. So it showed, and then when I wasn't decisive enough with what kind of a setup I wanted to run, it ultimately just put me even more off pace. So let's say like 2-3 tenths off from setup, and then maybe even 2 tenths combining the engine and the car upgrade itself. It really can put you down, and then obviously my own personal performance. So it was just a lot of stuff culminating there that didn't really go our way. But I believe this time we should be at least in the mix. But the grid's definitely been so close together that you can't really tell. I mean, just 2 tenths off could really put you back to just about in the points. So don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah, I certainly enjoyed the break coming up here, Jan, and be ready to go for the Canadian Grand Prix next month. Now that you're back on top, trying to go back to back in the championship. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And we have time just for one last interview, knowing it's myself going solo. We're going to hear from THR's Jarl Tyan, who managed to finish off the podium today. Hi, Jarl, can you hear me?
Can do.
Lovely stuff. So a very positive result for yourself. As a personal note there with P3, managed to get the THR team on the podium again. You're second of the season. So can you comment on how the race played out for you?
Yeah, considering I started P7, P3 wasn't too bad. A bit disappointed with qualifying. I think top 3 should have been possible had I done everything that I was supposed to do in practice. But nevertheless, we knew we had a good race car, and we kind of proved that going from P7 to P3. Maybe a slight strategy error, considering we were only 5 seconds off the win, with pitting a bit too late and getting involved with some traffic. But even without that, it would have been very, very close if the win was on the cards. But still, it's encouraging that the pace is there.
Absolutely. And then a sort of flip of the coin in terms of the overall team, of course. Tom would have been eager to keep fighting for the championship lead, but I'm afraid his race ended in the first sector. So knowing that, of course, THR are still top of the team championship, you've got to make sure you're both kicking on from now on. So how did you pick up Tom after, I'm sure, a very disappointing evening for him?
Yeah, massive shame for Tom and also Moritz, you know. It could have been a big haul of points for both, but Tom obviously didn't have a fresh engine, so he probably wouldn't have had, a chance of the podium, most likely not. But at least the top 6 would have been easily possible for Tom, considering the race pace we had. So massive shame for the teams, but still, we have to remember that Jan and Lalu is very quick, and that even though we're leading at the moment, we need to make sure we finish these races to make sure we continue this lead.
Yeah, for sure. Is Montreal a track that would suit your driving style or anything like that?
I think, yeah, for me personally, I think it's a good track, but also the setup philosophy that we have should convert very nicely over to Montreal. So yeah, now obviously 4 weeks until the race, but I think we should also have a go for a podium there for sure.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, really appreciate your time. Unfortunately, Ed has been told it's time to stop talking.
Sorry.
And thinking now the noise. There he is. Yeah, he has to keep it very quiet apparently.
Apparently somebody's got work in the morning, as they've informed me.
Okay.
But anyway, well done, y'all.
Thank you, sir.
And that will perhaps bring a close to our interview section. Yeah, fascinating to hear from all our podium setters, and indeed Maris, the pole sitter. So yeah, a nice variety of opinions and feelings today, Ed. So appreciate getting the call up in Caitlin's absence, but I hope she will absorb all this information when she gets the chance to watch back and be ready to go for next month. But I'm really appreciative to get the chance to be back in a Super League broadcast for the first time since Spa last year, when I was able to sub in as well. So, yeah, good stuff. I had a great double duty here in Indianapolis.
Me too. Always a pleasure working with you, Owen. Anyway, thank you very much as well for watching. We'll be back 19th of June for the next Super League round, but earlier, or the week before, I forget what day it is. It's like 12th, 10th, 11th, something like that of June will be the next when we come back from summer break. So join us for Academy and FS2 then. Oh no, it'll just be FS2, wouldn't it? Academy's the same week as Super Lights and Super League. Anyway, it's too late. Thank you very much for watching and listening. I've been Adrian Hunter. He's been Owen Harmon. Remco de Zeeuw was on broadcast. And yeah, enjoy the summer break. And we hope you enjoyed our sojourn into the United States. Congratulations to Milnik for breaking his drought. And are we about to see this championship turned on its head, or will Jan Grankvist retake control? We'll see after the break. Bye for now.
Goodbye.